and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours!
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
What up? We back, baby. Wednesday, last stream of the week for your boy. And chill, you're probably going to get hounded to do another one. But we're back and we got a banger. We got a banger. We got a lot to talk about, too. We got a lot to talk about.
GM, fellas, what's going on? Homies, I should say. Homies. Yeah, Linkin Park intro never gets old. It gets you hyped up every single time, bro, and I freaking love it. We got a lot to talk to you guys about today. S Powers, GM. S Powers, we talked about you, how you found YouTube, right? We talked to you about that, right? If not, if we haven't, let us know how you found our YouTube. We're trying to see something here. But GM, hope you guys are doing well. So here's how the show is gonna go today. Yes, we did. Okay, perfect. Appreciate you, brother. But yeah, the show today, we have our first interview coming up here in 2 minutes. So we'll get, we had a little late start today. It's summer vacation. All right. Summer vacation. Just chill.
Give us some slack.
Cut us some slack here. So we got Repo coming up at 12:30. That should be a good one. Afterward, we have a bit of a break, like a 45-minute break after the Repo interview. So during this break, we'll talk about some breaking news. We'll talk about some macro stuff. We'll do our last interview of the day. That'll be with Pumpcade and the new COO of Pumpcade. That should be a really exciting interview. And afterward, we'll go into some on-chain stuff. We'll go We'll go into, the meme coin setups, the tech coins. We got some breaking news with some on-chain, some of our favorite on-chain tickers that we've covered on this show for months and months and months. So there's so much that we have to go through with you guys. So that's how it's going to go today. We'll kind of do a back and forth here. Interview, market update. First market update will be majors, macro, breaking news. After the last interview, it'll be mostly focused on chain. So go ahead, Dom. You can kick us off whenever you're ready.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's gonna be a banger today. I mean, I'm excited for this repo conversation. Chill and I were kind of talking, doing a little prep pre-show, and it seems like the crux of this is like repos found their stride here, and this experiment has turned real very quick. And I think similar to how we look at something like Grass Protocol, which is a DePIN network, where you can become a node by allowing it to take idle GPU from your computer and use it to farm data and whatnot. And they've quickly grown from like what Grass was, no enterprise clienteles, to working with some massive AI labs. And I think they're on 100 million annualized run rate right now. And so I kind of take a step back and I think that seems similar to the position that Repo's in. And my question for Repo is like, okay, we've caught stride. I think we've proven this out a little bit. How are things going, right? Let's just get the update. But what are these enterprise conversations looking like? How can we scale this thing? Are we getting to the point where the network's proven itself and now these labs can actually start getting their hands on these stuff, or whoever the willing buyer is? So that's the big thing. I think going from concept to reality is what I'm excited about. It's going to be a really great conversation today. I think, Chill, we should probably just go ahead and pull them up and get straight into it. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Boom. All right, Jordan, RG, welcome back to the show, man. How you guys doing?
What's going on, guys?
Cool. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, man. We're enjoying our Wednesday. Wow, time flies. But we're excited to get into it with you guys. I've been looking at your numbers, seeing your tweets. I saw you just did like a token holder call and stuff, but it seems like you guys are catching stride in a big way, huh?
Yeah, we're moving along. I think there's the network is growing at an unprecedented rate. So I think it's according to our roadmap, it's going as planned. The first quarter or the first 3 months was really proving the mechanics that this idea that you can use prediction markets to source training data, do post training or reinforcement learning works. Then we proved that with onboarding a bunch of on-chain projects, so across Base, virtual ecosystem, and now we're moving to the enterprise phase where we're going to massively scale this by serving it through an API, sort of like what Venice did.
Very cool. For those that are unfamiliar, I mean, we've had you guys on the show before, and I think people have a pretty good idea what Repo is, but we got to do them the decency of giving them your background and then a quick little elevator pitch on Repo, and then we can get straight into some of the numbers and kind of these next steps. So maybe RG, while we have you on the main stage here, could you tell us a bit about yourself?
For sure. I'm RG. I used to work at Filecoin for many years. That's where I found a problem where we were storing a bunch of data and everyone was like, hey, like, what's the quality of this data? And no one had an answer. And so I just got obsessed with that problem. So the way I think about it is it's a trilemma between, like today in the world of AI, there's a trilemma between access, cost, and quality. Venice is tackling access. There's a bunch of projects tackling cost. And then Repo is focused on the quality aspect.
Got you. And then Jordan, do you mind hopping in and giving a quick background on yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Jordan. I joined the project right around the time at TGE as COO, previously at Blockworks. Before that, did a stint in the VC world and was at Facebook doing a lot of partnerships. So yeah, joined because I just saw a huge opportunity in the space. I think decentralized AI was like really starting to take off. I think we're still very early, but just saw the big upside, kind of saw RG's vision and wanted to hop on board and help the team grow.
Well, that vision's pretty spot on here. I mean, we've seen decentralized AI take off a ton. It feels like, I mean, I can tell from personal experience on this show, we've had so many like decentralized inference providers come on recently and talk about how they're like making this decentralized network. So it's clearly blowing up in a big way. I guess I kind of want to get some of your thoughts on this as well. You joined with this thesis that decentralized AI is going to blow up. It really has in a big way. We saw the Fable news recently with Fable kind of getting taken away from the people, which I think, again, validated your thesis on like, we need to have this decentralized AI, maybe decentralized uncensored AI, whatever it might be. But today, this vision's progressed, I think, quite a bit since you started. What does that landscape look like today?
Yeah, so I'll give my take, and then obviously RG, I want your opinion as well. But I just saw that this world was dominated by like the few big frontier labs, and like it still is, of course. But I think as that gets kind of distributed to other folks, other players in the space, there's way more room like across the full stack for other players like us to participate. I think like all the LLMs, the big models, they have like the lead in the sense of like the go to market and just getting the mass attention. But where I think decentralized really comes into play is not just relying on like a few centralized actors. I think allowing people to participate in the growth of the AI like ecosystem. That's something I just really loved about Repo is like we're rewarding folks who are giving their opinions, their knowledge, anything that they can contribute to like the future of this space. And I think like as the world shifts towards like away from other ways to like make money or just monetize, I think it just enables other people to like basically get their piece of what the future will look like with AI everywhere. And I think decentralized is like the big way to do that versus going to just a few of the big names. So yeah, that's really what I saw, and I think we're very, very early innings still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is, this, again, coming back to the trilemma of cost, access, and quality, right? We all started with like, when AI was taking off, we were like, of course, no one's going to lose access. These are like multi-billion, billion-dollar companies, and like, well, we lost access. And then one was like, oh, of course, they're going to they have shit tons of money, like they're going to continue to subsidize the cost. Like, well, that didn't hold true for long. Companies were canceling contracts right and left because they were like, this is insane. I'm burning 3 months of my yearly budget in 3 months. And now I think there's this like core belief that, these labs are so big and, they will solve deployment, post training because, of course they have the smartest people and, they will ensure quality. They have the best benchmarks. They are the best at evaluating themselves. And I think that's our core thesis is that just like the other two weren't true, it's not going to be true that, like it's in general, I think, if you believe in the long horizon world where AI is going to do everything, it's not the best idea to let someone grade themselves, evaluate themselves in general. But even in the short to medium term, I think we're just realizing that decentralized AI as an industry needs independent, permissionless, decentralized evaluation and reinforcement learning layer. And what Repo is doing this both at the pre-deployment layer as well. So when AI is agents and physical AI is not deployed, but also post-deployment. So there's this whole concept around inference time RL, which is just ticking up where when inference happens, can you get the inference consumer to learn from the mistakes they might be making, right? So this is new. This is fairly new. No one has done this at scale. Discussions around real-time RL, inference time RL, and that's really. But it all boils down to this quality aspect: is do you have a permissionless, decentralized layer to assess quality of AI? And in our view, Repo is the only one doing this today.
Got you. I want to talk about how you guys got here today. We're going to get into the numbers, but again, when you first came on the show, it felt very much like this is a thesis we have. We have some initial traction. I think people are validating this thesis. But today you have a lot of ecosystem partners, a lot of people using Repo to, find clarity on some of the questions they may have and get answers. If you had to kind of give me a little bit of lore, if you look back on the journey so far, what has that looked like today? And like, where has that brought you in the current state of things?
Yeah, so I think when we started, right, we just literally just wanted to see like, hey, is this whole idea of like trading your preferences, basically trading preferences on raw data can lead to something useful. Like that was it. We were like, even if we were getting one real project, I didn't care Web 2, Web 3, right? Like that was it. And I think what we saw is suddenly, a lot of people tried it. For some people, it was like an interesting. For some projects, it was an interesting go-to-market approach where Repo's, the way we built it is some projects who had a token but not a utility right away, they could come, plug into our system and start to find utility. Plus, also like generate interesting, useful data. So, and then we started seeing more, projects outside the virtual ecosystem, like like Roba recently joined and. I think there's there's a project called SpiceNet where we're collaborating with, and then they started basically seeing interesting angles to like physical AI. So really, I think the core here is we saw even in our discussions, right? As we kept on building, instead of trying to target the entire training landscape, which is pre-training, post-training, everything, we just realized that look, Repo's kind of USP is in the post-training world, focusing on reinforcement learning, focusing on just like post-deployment, and building a system where AI agents and physical AI systems can be our direct customer. We're still building in that direction, where we believe that they're going to be economic actors, and someone needs to do due diligence. I mean, there's many angles to look at Repo. One angle to look at Repo is the Deloitte or like the KPMG. Like that does not exist. If you believe that these robots and AI agents are going to become like massive economic actors, well, who's going to do any due diligence, right? Who's going to keep them in check? And people have said like, oh, just build a reputation layer. Well, that doesn't work. Like in the sense, like you can have reputation, but if there's no enforcement and no self-learning from that, right? So I think there's like many ways to look at it. But to answer your question, I think that's how we've seen the evolution is like test the mechanism, then scale it, and then now basically go to enterprise and scale it with it. It's just like a simple API. Yeah.
Speaking of now taking it to the enterprise level, and speaking of that side, I saw recently there was a presentation that you guys did with Meta, and then can you talk to us a little bit about some of those recent enterprise efforts that you guys are taking on?
Yeah, so I think the very clear one, we're in discussions with a project with a company called VLGE. If you go to vlge.com, and they have built this really interesting simulation platform where they collect a bunch of, they basically convert physical spaces into digital spaces. So like kind of like Minecraft-like worlds, and then track interactions that different users are doing inside that. Now, if you go to vlg.com/AI, it's actually explained really well of like, what their product is. But one of the bottlenecks that they have is that to do this for every company, they have to build a new rubric of what is good, what is bad, right? And assess it against that rubric, or not, like they're not able to do it in real time. So the delivery times to actually deliver a data set is minimum 3 months and could go longer. And now what they can do is they can plug into the evaluation API, plug into Repo, and the orchestra nodes, which are these agent swarms doing the work. We can go into that later. That is another big thing we launched in the last couple of months. They are basically providing feedback on demand, economic stake feedback on demand in real time, and that is how the machine is scaling. So just to give you an idea, like this company works with really large brands like Louis Vuitton, and they work with UN and like all these big names, and then they also work with large labs. So that's how we got the intro, and then I think that's really like the focus here is that find. When we think of enterprise, some of it we're going to these companies directly, like small to medium-sized companies, and we're saying like, look, there's this whole new revenue pipeline that you guys are just sleeping on. So what we do is we deploy some agent swarms, and we create the simulation data. We QA/QC it using the Repo machinery, and then basically do profit share. In most cases, it's like 60-40, 60 for us, 40 for them, because we're doing most of the heavy lifting. If it's a larger name, we do 50-50. And then we're committing 50% of all off-chain revenue to do buyback and burns. But that's really the value here is that a lot of small to medium-sized companies like SaaS products are kind of struggling right now, and they don't know what to do. And we're telling them like, look, you have all this behavioral usage workflow data that is useful. And then for larger enterprises, like that's the value add is they are really good at collecting the data, but to do QA/QC. It's still a very archaic process, and we come in and say like, hey, just plug in our API. If you really are interested in understanding how the machine is working, we spend like 15-20 minutes, and most of them just get it. Yeah, the main concept here is replacing human, replacing like human accountability, which is you get that through legal contracts and by paying them $100 an hour with economic stake. So yeah.
So I want to talk.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I want to talk a little bit about, first off, how many of these like small, medium size or businesses and including even some of the larger enterprises, how many have you talked to so far? How many intros have you gotten? But later on, I want to do kind of branch into product and how things have evolved over time, because Repo now is a little bit different from Repo, in December of 2025. So let's talk about first the amount of businesses you've kind of had a face-to-face with, and then we'll get on to that.
Yeah. Jordan, do you want to take it on?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. So right now we have 17 active data nets. Obviously, not all those are like enterprise clients that we're working with, but I would say we have a pipeline of somewhere between 20, 25 active ongoing conversations that we're doing right now. Our goal is to have in the near term 50 data nets live. Data net in this case essentially equals one client or one enterprise customer. Trying to get from anywhere from 100 up to 1,000 over the next 6-12 months. So the kind of the last, I would say, 6 months was just getting the piping, to your point, making sure the product was in place and going through that evolution that we needed. And now is really when we turn on like the faucet and really ramp up some of our like BD and go-to-market efforts. So 2025 like active ongoing conversations, and I expect that to likely triple over the next few months.
Can I even jump in on this real
go
quick,
ahead.
Jill? You have 20 to 25 active enterprise conversations going on. You kind of mentioned these kind of range in size. What does like the approach, conversation, and feedback look like for that? If I'm a company, how would you maybe approach me, and what does the feedback look like?
Yeah, so it's I'll break into like a few different things. One, the coolest part of our platform, which we've kind of talked about, is like the evolution of, call it like individual hobbyists or like your buddy running an agent. They can use the platform. That's really how we got like the initial start for a lot of this, all the way up to like 7, 8, however many figures enterprise businesses. And that approach, coming from like my partnership background, is like a very different thing, and it is really tough to prioritize. But it is something that now, because we're in that like pivotal moment, we're going after those like medium to bigger size businesses. And I would say the like aha moment for me, at least, and RG obviously can chime in or speak to this too, is like that framing of like the KPMG or Deloitte. Like that is very different than how you'd approach like an enterprise or a hobbyist. But going to these Web2 customers and saying, we will be your independent like third-party eval partner, just tap into our API, go in and like we can abstract all the crypto and the back-end stuff, and we will just become that player for you. That is how we get our foot in the door with like real Web2 and Web3 businesses. So I think that's really been our go-to-market strategy the last few weeks to months, and that's where we really accelerate from here.
This is really interesting. I want to touch on the crypto abstraction. You're reaching all these enterprise customers, some of which are, I'm assuming, Web3, and then some of which are Web2, as you mentioned. What does that look like? Are they sketched out from the crypto side? You said you're abstracting a lot of the crypto away from it, or have they started to come around to this notion of like crypto being a very powerful, just a blockchain being a very powerful database and technology for them?
I'll give my take and then RG jump in. But what we're actually seeing, I think people love it. They don't get it necessarily in the sense of they don't have to. The value add that we bring is like, think of all your crypto friends and crypto bros who are like deep in agents and deep into AI and know likely way more than like the normies do of how agentic swarms work and all that stuff. We bring that expertise and like abstract that away from those conversations, just saying, to RG's point, if you guys want to learn the mechanics in the back end, we're happy to sit down and run through. But I honestly think most of them are like, nope, that's why we want you guys here. You go deploy, you do what you need to. We just want to see like the ROI or return on partnership in that lens. So that's my take, RG. I'm curious if you think otherwise.
Yeah, I think, for Web2 company, let's talk about like a very, a company that has no idea of crypto. When we approach them, I think the biggest value add here is two things really. One, the speed at which we can move. That is a big attraction to them, and the fact that we can work with them more custom. We can literally like spend a lot of time with them because they know that like, okay, we're like a smaller fish right now compared to them. So they love to kind of like work with us, and they can really give us their core requirements, which is sometimes very hard to do with like a larger evals company. And second, I think this idea that there's a network where you're almost outsourcing, but it's not a company. it's not like another company that you're outsourcing your evaluation process to, right? I think that is also, I think they're coming to, most of these companies actually get the idea of operating a node. And so even if you spend 5 minutes with them and say like, hey, like the way it's actually working is a bunch of different evaluators are independently working, and they're incentivized by the market, not by us. And I think that idea actually really clicks with them. If I were to come to someone and say like, hey, you are only paying for the output, you're not paying for the process. Well, in some sense, you're paying for the process, but you are not, paying someone by the hour to evaluate your product. I think that idea is really interesting to them, and I think like that's how we've been getting a lot of these, and that's actually how we got into this evaluation API approach, because they were the ones, right? And I think our vision on this is that when you look at like Scale AI, which is like around 29 billion today, and like Stripe, which is like valued at about like $160 billion in private markets. The question I asked myself as a founder is, why can't Scale AI scale like Stripe, right? And the answer is pretty simple. The answer is because the machinery that's been built is that you have to hire a human in the loop. You have to like do all of this on ground manual process. And like our kind of core vision is like, can you build Scale AI on chain, but like scale it like Stripe? And I think like where we have landed after 6 to 7 months is that like, can you serve this entire machinery as an API where someone swaps 2 lines of code and starts to consume feedback, reinforcement learning, all these things. But in the back end, a lot of things are happening with the token and everything. So yeah.
Well, and in theory, this sounds really good. Can you talk us through, I guess, how people get rewarded on the back and how the actual mechanisms of this work in reality?
Yeah, sure. So to give you a background, when Repo started, it was all human operated. So humans had to like publish data, humans had to like vote on data, and the epochs or like the timelines were about like 24 to 48 hours. It's in the next network upgrade, we're building a machinery where the markets can settle on custom epochs. So if MCG were to start a data net and you were like, hey, we want the markets to settle every 2 hours, that's possible. That'll be possible. But the way the incentive mechanism works now is people operate these agent swarms called orchestra nodes. So so what happens is you can operate an orchestra node, which can publish or provide raw data. So really like what Grass does, but does this in a way where instead of scraping data from your bandwidth, we allow them to get the data from wherever they want. So they can scrape it from the internet. They might have like novel data themselves, or they might be generating synthetic data, whatever. So you can operate like a data contributor node, or you can operate a verifier node, which is basically taking human preferences, converting that into this objective this objective input, and then providing feedback on demand. And to me personally, like the latter is really interesting. The grand vision is that let's say you're just living your life, you're using your headphones, you have a bunch of data that we all generate every day. You might be wearing Meta glasses. Eventually we might have Neuralink, and all of this data is being streamed privately to your agent swarm, which is learning your preferences and then going and voting inside data nets and then basically printing you money. So that's really the vision. And I think if you think about it, if you do everything right, if everything goes according to the plan, you can actually build this like neural network, mesh network, where you can front run a singular company, which is has access to data. Because Repo network eventually becomes a place where you have access to a bunch of novel data, which is being contributed by the users themselves, instead of a single company who has access to your data. I mean, they definitely have access to your data regardless of what they tell you. So I think that's really like the large scale vision. But in the immediate term, the incentive mechanism is people operate these publisher nodes or verifier nodes, and the emissions are seeded by the data net operator, which in most cases are projects and companies. And yeah, that is a really important one as well, because there's no like network emissions. The person wanting the commodity is paying for the commodity.
Can I ask a little more on the layers of this business? I think we've seen a big conversation recently around the licensing of data. I mean, you guys you're in the data aggregation and sales business essentially, and we saw recently Story Protocol, or formerly IP, just transitioned to data, and they've created this whole data layer where all the data is verified, stored on the blockchain, and basically it's given the stamp of approval that, hey, this data has been verified, paid for, and the person that's selling it has consented to that. When you look at Repo's layers and what you guys have to offer, maybe talk me through a few of the layers and if licensing is something you guys have been thinking of recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. The way it works is like, we have provenance built into our platform, so you can know where the data was sourced from. Especially now everything is agentic. I think we have talked to Story Protocol pre-TGE. We're happy to pick the conversation back up. I think the provenance layer is definitely useful because what you're really doing is bringing more provenance to what's happening off chain. I mean, anything that's happening on chain, you already have provenance. And
right.
Yeah, so I think like the way, and so to tackle your point around licensing, we don't think of it as licensing the data itself. I think if anything, like if there's a very large enterprise customer, we might do a licensing model for the evaluation API itself, where they might take this and white label it, or just like deploy it within their org. But yeah, I think at this point, we are really living and breathing by this idea of like scaling this like Stripe, where the pricing models are going to look like that. The enterprise, like if there's going to be a contact sales button, if you want like a multi-year like contract for the evaluation API. While we're improving the machinery. The machinery improves by simply getting more Orchestra nodes on board and then making some protocol changes in how markets settle and incentives are designed. But we feel pretty confident of where things are. I think someone wrote like a whole thesis about Repo recently around like the evaluation, AI evaluation market thesis, which captures it really well of like what the problem space is. And broadly, at least on my timeline, we're seeing so there's this one, and then there's like I think someone called Agent Chud who wrote a piece as well, like a whole it was like a very long thesis. But yeah, I think that's what we're seeing. So licensing is not necessarily on from what we just see, like licensing is not as scalable. So like licensing is not the main source of revenue. The main source of revenue is going to be really that is like any person building an agent or deploying a robot needs a real-time evaluation layer piece, and they should just be able to swap two lines of code and pay by usage. We're not fans of locking people into contracts. That's one of the reasons I started the thing. I think with Filecoin as well, like the whole point was you can pay on the go and not lock people into different like long-term contracts. So.
With this conversation of scaling, and Chill, I know you have a lot to think about and speak about here, so jump in whenever you want. But with this conversation of scaling, I want to talk about this, this API you guys are talking about, this evaluation API and how it plugs in. You guys have said you kind of pride yourself on the speed you offer and this like white glove servicing that you guys can really provide with the size of the team. And it's a unique offering that other people can't necessarily do. How does this evaluation API kind of plug into your vision of you scaling? Do you guys have a plan for this API to plug on the back end to a lot of products, and then they go and create UI and they do front end and they use their distribution to kind of grow this pie? I'm just curious maybe to get a better idea on where the API fits in.
Yeah, so I think like part of it is very much like how LangChain did it, where so it'll start with like a very just by consuming the evals. So you're getting real-time feedback. So right now, just to give you draw an example, if you look at Hermes Agent, Hermes Agent uses LLM as a judge, but it's like self-judging its own output. Those guys are making a lot of improvements as well. But I think the core here is how can you have independent, verifiable grading. And I think that's where we're starting. What actually becomes really interesting is the kind of products you can build on top once, secondary, tertiary services. Like one idea we've been actually teasing is this idea of evaluation insurance. From our view, like no one else can ever offer this, just because, it's a decentralized network. And so we can basically pass on the cost to Orchestra nodes by slashing them or things like that, right? So if you are consuming the evaluation API and your AI agent is not being evaluated or learning properly from its own evaluations, we know which nodes are providing the input, and then we can basically slash them, and then also like get you to pay for the insurance, right? And I think this idea, I think this becomes really interesting, because for a centralized company to provide evaluation insurance, like that's a whole new business, like that's a whole new regulatory landscape. But for Repo to say like, hey, we can provide this, kind of on the go. So I think like that's really how we're thinking about it. And so eventually it becomes like a full end-to-end vertically integrated stack where we can provide, as I mentioned, like data scraping, and like if you want to scrape data and like create new data sets. But really, I think what we've found, where our wedge is in the current landscape is by providing this as an API for AI agents and robotics to access evals on demand in real time, and then eventually you can, as the industry also makes progress, like this idea of inference time RL. Can you provide reinforcement learning at inference? There's a whole set of problems, technical challenges that come with it. But yeah, that's how I think about it.
Very cool.
So
go for it, Jordan.
To add quickly to that, I think we talked a little bit about like the difference between like getting to the masses versus like big enterprise customers. The API, I think, is our like ticket and kind of turn on the floodgates to get out to everybody, everyone running an agent, anyone can access. Like that is amazing, and that's a huge piece of the go-to-market. I also really want to emphasize like the white glove service, like being in the partnerships background. That is how you build relationships. That's how you get however many figure partnerships like over X number of years. That I think for such a small team, like I really pride ourselves, and I'm really proud of what we've built in being able to support those. And that won't go away with the API coming on board. So that's still something like, because of how fast we move, because of how custom we can do, because of how advanced we are with like our agentic systems, things like that, that will also be a big piece of the future. So it's like two different paths, but obviously tie in together.
Yeah.
So a question I had, going back to something I brought up earlier, is just kind of how Repo has changed over time. Obviously, you guys are doing something a little bit different than when you started back in late last year. We talked about kind of human verification, but you've also mentioned agent swarms and how that's now starting to play a role in how you verify data. Talk to us a little bit about that side of things. And then I want to also get into traction after this. Like, I know the numbers, whenever I look at them, they're always good with you guys as far as all the metrics around like user growth and stuff, but I definitely want to get an update there. But maybe we start with the agent swarms and then we transition into that.
RG, you want to take that, or you want me to hop in?
I can take it. So I think the way we think about growth, right, is there's network growth, so which is all trackable in repostats.com. How much trading volume is there? That's a key KPI for us. How much network fees is being paid? All of this is verifiable on chain. And I think, and then there's network monetization. So I think like often like, teams can conflate growth and monetization to be like, hey, but I like to think of it differently, is that if you have all this activity and usage on the network, like the network is growing. Now the next question is, okay, like what is sort of the real world impact, aka how much revenue are we generating? From our vantage point, Repo is different because we're not a data marketplace. Someone creates a data net, they consume the QA/QC data that they finally get, and so basically they are the consumer of their own data. I think like that's really important to understand, versus like a data marketplace where someone is just like facilitating buying and selling of data. So that's definitely key to understand that it's an environment that we're selling. So when someone spins up a new data net, we've actually like made the money mostly, and they're now continuing to seed those the data net with incentives, and we're continuing to grow that. So that's one. I think this the core idea would still be like how do we build a machine in the medium to long term where an enterprise customer completely abstracted away crypto, but then data nets are being spun up in the back end, and it will take us a bit longer to get there. But I'm personally not a big fan of like building off-chain revenue, then like finding discretionary ways to bring it on chain. The eventual goal is to just make it fully agentic, where someone who wants to consume any of the outputs of Repo, this might be inference time RL, this might be the evaluation API. This might be just using repo for product feedback. There's like multiple things you can do. That's like, I would say, Jordan, if you want to add something to that.
Yeah, and just to touch on like the first part of your question, Chill, the like transition, for lack of a better term, of like human to agent, we believe like at the core of our product is like human feedback, human opinions, human knowledge. Like that will never go away. What Orchestra and like our agentic systems allow is basically to scale that infinitely. So like I might have an opinion on sports, call it, and my bandwidth to go and actually participate in data nets or provide my opinion or participate in the whole protocol is limited to my time. What now this unlocks with all these agentic systems and swarms, et cetera, is I can inform those with those same like input and knowledge and things that I find really valuable. And now I can participate using my agentic swarm or my Orchestra node at like mass scale. So that like human key piece will never go away. It's just now like leveraged through something that basically allows us, the protocol, and everyone participating to scale infinitely. So it's massive unlock for us, and that's where you're seeing a lot of these growth or these numbers and growth trajectory.
That's a fantastic answer. Before we even get into some of those numbers and the quarterly growth, quarter on quarter, just all your numbers, I want to talk about, you keep bringing up this off-chain revenue. And so we've seen this exact situation right now is a big conflict amongst the Grass community. The Grass is a token holder call July 7th, I believe. And people are constantly asking, well, we don't see the revenue coming in. It's happening off chain. They have the foundation that governs the revenue and how it works, but we don't really see how much is going towards expenditures. We don't really know where that's going. No clarity on buybacks. What does the structure look like of the company structure of the revenues that are coming in off chain? And how are you guys managing to, I know you have the 50% buyback, but bring that back on chain, use it to grow the platform. Maybe just kind of give me like a better idea of that whole structure.
Yeah, I think one way, so there's different ways to do it. Of course, one way that we've been thinking about and experimenting with is, can we use kind of a combination of, on-chain governance plus verifiable inference. So the idea is interesting. So the idea is, the step one is you token gate and say like, hey, if you have minimum 4 million repo, you are becoming part of the committee. And on the other side, what you actually get is, instead of giving them the raw contracts with like, sensitive information of the company, we basically put that into, like on our own side, you can run like you can run verifiable inference on the documentation, right? We're still working with like a partner to like figure out how exactly the specifics work. But I think that's actually a really interesting way, where let's say you are like a company which you have like a multi-million-dollar contract and you want someone to verify that. Like technically, I think Open Gradient, for example, has built this technology where you can basically do verifiable inference without actually seeing the document, right? That uses ZK and all those things. So I think that's actually a really smart way to do it. So basically just, token gate it and only allow the inference, so that, there's no like people can't leak the document or things like that. I think that's how we're thinking about it. And, at the end of the day, if someone can see, like, that's like verifying. So that's step one, to verify like, what the revenue is. But then we're still missing the part where, because the revenue is coming off chain, it's still discretionary. Like you can verify that, but it still depends. Like someone from the foundation still has to go do buyback and burns. I think you can actually build a machinery there as well. So like, let's say you build a mechanism where there's a consensus that let's say a minimum of 10 people have verified, and that automatically executes a programmatic call to take money from this wallet, which can be like a multi-sig, and it automatically is doing buyback and burns. The main question remains there is, how do you prevent front running and things like that? Do you do it on a swap and things like that? But I think for us, we're starting to think about those things, but the main focus is still to get to the first million. I think our benchmark, and the way we're benchmarking it, is there's a company called Arena, which spun out of UC Berkeley about 3 years ago. They just announced 100 million in ARR. And we're just aiming 1% of that by the end of this year. So, that's our kind of like North Star. But once we start to get to our first 100K, you'll see a more laid out game plan for us, of how we're going to enforce buyback and this 50% off-chain revenue. But TLDR, I think that we just need more innovation there as well. I mean, this is one way we're thinking about it. But I think I honestly think if someone offers this as a service, given that enough teams are finally willing to commit to it, I think a lot of teams want to keep some control because even for repo, right? Like we are going to we're going to do buyback and burns, but then at some we're not saying that, hey, we'll like buy like at the exact market level, right? Because I think that is kind of like you have to think about, okay, like what is the ROI? Like do we expect if the token can be bought at a lower price, we will conduct buyback and burns there. Repo also has a lock mechanism, so we can actually put deflationary pressure on the token by locking the token instead of just buying back and burn right away. And I think those are all levers that we'll definitely play with as we grow.
Yeah, it's not something that's super prominent right now, but it's definitely something we want to have a good idea about when these revenues really do start piling up and people are like, wow, this is turning into a serious business and you're reaching some of those benchmarks and goals that you guys have. So it's a fascinating conversation. With that, I guess, maybe talk me through a bit of growth. And maybe before we jump, Crypto Jones has a good question. So not to get too ahead of ourselves, he says, it seems like every second project that's been on MCG has partnered with Repo. Can you speak on these partnerships, strengthen the Repo network, or what value you guys bring? So he's got a great point here. Yeah, like a lot of people we talk to on the show have partnered with Repo, which I think is a testament to what you guys have built. Maybe talk us through a little bit more detail on some of these partnerships and how it strengthens the network as a whole.
And maybe Jordan, if you'd like to hop in, I know RG might have to break away here.
Yeah, I can take this one. So it comes from like a few different things. One is we worked super closely with like the Virtuals ecosystem. Obviously went through their launchpad. They've been like instrumental in helping us bridge and connect a lot of those relationships. That's been awesome for us. Also, a lot of it is because we add a lot of utility back to them, to these projects, they also add utility to us as a protocol. For example, there's been a few projects come in, they can actually participate in Repo, give out emissions in their native token. That is, of course, an incentive for other folks to come in and, for lack of a better term, like mine, farm, participate in their protocols as well and actually get emissions and rewards for like understanding their project and helping them become better and better systems, projects, etc. So that's like a ton of value add. And that's why it's like a really mutual thing. Where it comes in and grows us is one, it's seeing a bunch of different use cases. Like we have the robotics folk coming in, we have sports data nets, we have folks in like geopolitics. The more use cases and the applications, it just gives us a better framework, better understanding of how different businesses, different projects can leverage our tech and our infra. And that makes us a better project as well. And also like the more opportunity there is for our community to earn, understand, and give their insights and like knowledge and participate in this agentic way, they're going to make money and enjoy and become a bigger part of the protocol, but bigger participants as well. So it's kind of that flywheel where like we help them, they help us, but it's also there's a lot of utility on both sides there.
Got it. So walk us through, you guys have worked on so much. You guys have done so much in the recent months. Talk to us about traction. How are things going on the business side? You talk to us about, sort of the partnerships and businesses you're in talks with. But on-chain numbers. I mean, we see your the repo stats here. Walk us through some of these stats that reflect how good the network is doing.
Yeah, so definitely kind of like I mentioned in a few of my updates, the hockey stick moment or that inflection point. This is all just since we rolled out V2, which I think happened in March. So it's really only been like a quarter, just a little over a quarter. What you're seeing is we've crossed over 500 million in total volume traded. That means over, approaching 12 million US dollars has traded hands on the platform. That is incredible. That means people are participating. That means people are earning. That means people are giving their opinions. And you need to lock repo in order to get that voting power. So that right there just identifies like how many users we have, how many people are actively participating day in and day out. Then
and this is since launch, you said?
This is since V2 launch, which is roughly March. I think middle to end of March. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So yeah, the fact that we've hit this traction is awesome. And what comes with that is like the network fees. It's, approaching 150K in USD value. Obviously that fluctuates given the token, but that's just a start. That means money coming back to us is like real network revenue that allows us to scale operations, grow the team, grow the protocol, put money back in. So this is just in a few months. And to your point, now that we have these enterprise partnerships, there's going to be an API soon, orchestra nodes, and we have some big names that we'll hopefully be able to reveal soon, both on the enterprise partnership side. We alluded to that when RG mentioned VLGE. And then also some folks in Web 2 and Web 3 who are like big node operators who want to come into the protocol as well. So all of this is talk about traction. Like the last 6 months was like laying the groundwork and getting the pipes in order. I hope we explode from here. That's the goal.
So one specific I wanted to kind of ask about was the lock renewal rate. Every time I look at this, it's almost like the numbers just continue to go up. At first it was like 70%, then it was like 84%, and now I'm looking at it, I'm seeing it's like 97, 98%. I think that's a very key metric for the viewers to know about. Walk us through what is this renewal rate, and why is 98% such a huge number?
Yeah, appreciate the flag. So it means a few things and it's really valuable. So I mentioned, just for additional context, in order to actually vote and participate in the protocol and give your opinions or your knowledge, you have to lock repo to get V repo. It's a V contract. The whole point of doing that, this is 98% epoch over epoch. So that's every 48 hours. That means that folks are locking either for long durations, and that those tokens are locked for extended periods of time, or they're doing it in short iterations, getting their voting power back and deciding to relock again. And that indicates that, one, they're finding a lot of value. Two, they're earning emissions because they wouldn't participate or wouldn't see the value if they weren't getting something on the back end from it. And three, it also speaks to like the quality of the projects that are coming on and where we actually are like rewarding them or improving their systems too. Because if there was like 50% and a massive drop off, people would come in for 2 days, we'd never see them again. The fact that almost 100% of our users are coming back and want to be part of this flywheel, it means we're doing something right, the projects are doing something right, and the infrastructure is actually working as it should.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. I mean, this is great. I mean, we've had you guys on the show how many times? Like, it's probably been like 3 or 4 times so far, and it's just been amazing every time to see you guys continue to build, continue to grow, and now we see that continuously in the numbers. I think I'm good on questions. It's been about 45 minutes. It's been an amazing conversation here and great updates from you guys' side. But anything else, Dom or Jordan? Just we want to make sure we cover everything here.
I definitely want to touch on some of these numbers a bit further. You have, in the last 30 days, you've added 5.3 thousand users, which is 668% growth month over month. In the last 7 days, it's been 5.23 thousand users. Where are you, do you know where these users are coming from? What the prototype of this user is? Because that's incredible growth.
Yeah. So that's something we are trying to better understand, like the ICP almost on this side. It kind of ranges. And the coolest part is this is going to explode with Orchestra. So recently, a lot of this activity comes from other communities who are coming in and starting their projects, other folks who are finding us organically. That's really where we're also just seeing this massive uptick. We started the initial conversation with decentralized versus the frontier models. I think a lot of people are just fed up with the traditional LLMs and those big, those folks making trillions of dollars. They want to come and participate at scale. So when I mentioned we're still identifying that, it kind of is all of those buckets coming together. And we're just excited for that user growth. And I think now that there's ways to people getting more into agentic systems, the orchestra nodes, this is just in private beta and likely releasing in the next few days. We hope that, again, 10x's from here. So it's an awesome hockey stick to see, but I think it's just the beginning as well.
Well, put this into practicality for me here. Again, 600% 30-day growth. This month, 668%. What if this does 10x from here and it does continue to hockey stick and this growth just continues to expand, network goes up, revenue keeps coming in? What happens at this point? What does this look like for Repo? What happens in the company?
I think the mission doesn't change. It's we have our whole roadmap built out. It's repo.xyz/roadmap. So quickly shilling that. Definitely check it out. We just for Q2 set 17 very ambitious goals. crossed all 17. So we've actually laid out like what we want the next 6 months from Q2 or Q3, Q4 to look like through the end of the year, and then 2027 and beyond. So that all absolutely remains intact. Where I think the biggest opportunity where we should focus our efforts is those real like enterprise pieces, is getting it out to the masses for the API, and then hand-holding a lot of the Web 2, Web 2.5, and Web 3 projects to participate and be part of the protocol. So yeah, definitely happy to dive into like specifics, but the idea is like now the pipes are set and we're really going after the enterprise go to market and really focus on bringing real revenue.
Okay. And, actually, luckily for you guys, our guest that was supposed to be in the next slot, 115, dropped. So we have some extra time here. So I'm willing to keep riffing with you if you are.
Yeah,
I have the
definitely, sure.
roadmap here, but I don't want to get to the roadmap until we finish covering, I think, this like metrics tab. So before we
Yeah.
get off that, Crypto Jones has a great question. And it's, if we jump back a little bit, it's to add to Chill's question on this renewal rate, right? The lock renewal rate, 97 to 98%. He said, to add to Chill's question, with such a high renewal rate, why don't we see repo price increase, and what catalyst will it take to push price higher? And I don't want to make this a price conversation, but he brings up a good point. Like if we have so many people locking, like the float becomes very minute. Why isn't price going up? Maybe just help us understand the mechanism a bit further so we get the full picture.
Yeah, so I definitely appreciate the question. Like all of us want the price to go up, of course, but I want to be really careful because there's a really important distinction about like us doing things right and us operating the right way and us making the right decisions, and then the actual like number go up. And I think what we've learned is like, especially when I came in, I might have even joked on the show last time, like, we'll see you on the yacht. Like that is not what we're focused on. The focus on is really just emphasizing how do we build the right product? How do we build the right infrastructure? How do we do the right things, build the right partnerships? And those catalysts will come, and ultimately the market will come and hopefully appreciate that. That's why we're so focused on like real revenue. Our thesis, I'm sure RG believes in this, but like my personal thesis as well, is like crypto just 1,000xing overnight is just not going to happen anymore. Like we're too like adult of an industry now, and what people are looking for is real projects with real revenue who are building like real businesses, and that's what we care about. That's where like going after enterprises, going after dollars into the protocol, and then rewarding that whole flywheel. That's when again the market hopefully hops on board, but all we can do is make the right decisions and build those connections in the meantime.
Got you. A great answer. And just to clarify, so everyone's kind of aware here, this 97 to 98% is not like 97 to 98% of all supply. This is of the total repo that is locked or active in the network.
Correct. Of the total locked. Yep.
Got you.
But it indicates that epoch over epoch, everyone is basically relocking again.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. Okay, cool. I think I'm straight on the metrics. Let's talk about roadmap here, and it's a perfect way to wrap this conversation. With where do you guys kind of go from here? We dove into it a little bit earlier, but maybe let's just tack off some of these one by one. What's number one on the roadmap, to reiterate?
Yeah, so protocol upgrades were, RG kind of alluded to this, where we announced like the hinting at V3 timeline, still very TBD on that. Not sure exactly when that's going to roll out. But the whole point is to build on top of what we built in V2. We've done a lot of really good decisions, and we want to like improve where we can. So what we're basically doing is improving the things that will help us with that enterprise adoption and allow a lot of folks, whether it's through the API or otherwise, to come in and participate. So it's just like kind of not getting rid of things, but optimizing to allow those entrants to come in and scale. Also with that is like the mention of permission data nets for AI labs. As we become like the KPMG, the Deloitte, AI labs is kind of like a overarching placeholder, but the point is to get in front of like more traditional businesses, Web2 businesses, folks who aren't just in the crypto ecosystem. And that's going to allow us to really, really scale as well. And then what we hope from that is, are there ways that we can either like monetize data together? Can we help other projects monetize? Are we raking in a ton of revenue from the API? All of those things that kind of build towards what a real enterprise style business looks like.
Got you. Anything else from this roadmap that you want to touch on?
So we've mentioned Orchestra a bunch, but I think that's like the big unlock that's going to really, really ramp. And that all leads to, obviously, as we scale, as more data nets come on board, as more projects are getting the outcomes that they want, that means more participation from our ecosystem. That means more folks running Orchestra nodes, making money along the way. So there will be off-chain revenue buybacks, burns. RG, I think, posted or tweeted something about this earlier today, so definitely take a look. It might have been yesterday. But the whole point is tie back like actual revenue to what we're doing across the protocol and hopefully benefit the token holders.
I love it. This has been a fascinating conversation. I mean, I think like Chill mentioned earlier, if there's something we haven't mentioned that you want to touch on real quick before we just jump, the floor is yours.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on, or both of us on. We've really enjoyed seeing like where we've come every few months and just hopping back in and giving you guys updates. So appreciate the floor. I guess just if anyone's building in the space, wants to come partner with us, my DMs are open, reach out on Twitter. RGs are obviously open, and any way we can benefit the rest of the ecosystem, reach out. We're always looking to work with other cool up and coming projects.
Sweet. And it just came to my mind. This is how it always happens. Of these 50% buybacks, and I guess, RG was really going down this rabbit hole on what this looks like. I just want to kind of get an idea of how you guys think about buybacks, because we see early stage companies. It's a great question, right? Early stage companies can't do the hyper liquid style 99% buybacks all the time. And sometimes even 50% is not very applicable because you want to go towards scaling. When you guys think of 50% buybacks, do you think that's going to stick? Do you think it's ever going to change where maybe, hey, we're in scale mode, we'd rather grow it now and kind of be able to give more later? Or how are you guys thinking about those buybacks in the token?
Yeah, it's a good question. Honestly, I don't think there's like a right answer. I think it's like what's right now and what might be right in 2 years from now. Eventually, I'm sure we'll like want governance input for some of that. We'll kind of democratize that decision as well. But in the short term, I think it makes sense. I think it's like a pretty predictable schedule that allows us to optimize and know what's coming. And it also aligns us with specific benchmarks when we hit, X number of network fees or X number of volume traded, things like that. It just gives us a pretty clear roadmap of what we need to do on our side. So it may not be like perfect in the sense of like it's 100% gonna stick like this forever, but I think it's the right step now and can always be updated or optimized later.
Yeah, I do agree with that answer. I think it's spot on. And just to I guess finish off that thought, do you know how much repo has been burned to date? Not sure if I can see that.
I would have to look. I think our product folks are actually going through some of those numbers right now, but I definitely can owe you a follow-up. We can put that into a weekly announcement or something for you.
All right. Well, I love it. This has been
Awesome.
a great conversation. We'll definitely want to keep up as we always do. These numbers, frankly, are very incredible. Like they're really impressive. And so just more credit to you for doing so well and growing this thing. And we would love to get you back on in the future to see, hopefully, those numbers 10x the next time we chat. So it's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jordan. Take
Jordan.
care. Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Wow.
Dude.
Let's recap. That was pretty crazy.
I mean, look, I mean, every time they come on, we look at their numbers, we look at their metrics, and everything is going nothing but up. You know what I mean? I think the most important metric to mention there is the that renewal relock. I mean, and then obviously also the user growth as well, right? Like there's a ton of like user growth that's really important to pay attention to. So look, there's a lot that Repo has going for it. And I'll say this, and this might sound a little wild, but Repo is one of the very few legitimately good, like long-term investments that you can make in this space. Like we talk about a lot of projects, we talk about a lot of different things, and perhaps, like for certain metas, we see metas pop up and then they die down. But when you think about an actual long-term investment, like there are a lot of things that are good for an individual trade, but for a long-term investment, bro, this is still under 10 mil market cap. And quite frankly, the way they're going, they're probably headed, in my opinion, to billions. And I don't say that lightly, but I say that when you look at, data is the new oil, as they say. But when you look at their partnerships, when you look at their, Jordan he was head of partnerships at Facebook, right? Like, come on. He's the one, they got they had and I should have asked them about this a little bit more, but they had a presentation with meta researchers. They have enterprise clients on board. They're talking to 25 plus businesses, right? Like they have a lot going on. and the price has done absolutely nothing. And it's probably because it's a sleepy market.
Well,
probably because it's a sleepy market.
It has not been priced in. I mean, clearly, we look back here, right, before they even had this V2 release, right? The V2 release was the mark of everything really starting to go crazy. I'm not exactly sure what the date is on that. If I actually tab over here, I can probably see all time. So I would assume, yeah, 30 days. This is a 30-day chart. So literally, like, not even a month ago, really, is when this V2 kind of kicked into high gear. And you can tell, I mean, the chart has just not priced any of it in because we were trading up here off the idea. And you know, this is actually, I think, a great pivot into something I've been wanting to talk about because I just put out this tweet, and this is how you guys need to be thinking about trading. Too many people think about trading like, hey, I have this great product. Hence, because I have this great product with amazing fundamentals, it should reprice. And I bring this up because we look at something like Repo. Okay, we look at something like Repo. We look at their numbers, nearly 100K users, you know, great 135K of network fees generated. And that's, again, predominantly in the last like 15 days here, 97 to 98% lock rate, $3 million locked up, right? Fundamentally, the numbers look great. 668% monthly growth. Okay. The numbers are there, yet the price has not reflected this. And so that's where I come to, I guess, the point I want to make today, where you have to start thinking about trades differently. And you have to stop looking at them from a fundamental perspective only and start looking at them from more of a holistic view where it's like, okay, fundamentals are one thing, but you have to also have the narrative and storyline. And that's almost more important. And so I want to read you this tweet real quick. I said, it does not matter how you feel or what you think as a trader. What matters is how the market reacts. Half the battle is selecting the right assets. Equally as important is selecting the ones that the market will digest and back with its full force. Repo is really cool. I think it's a little bit hard to digest at first, but I think if people are starting to come around to the idea of what they're building. As a trader, you need to ask yourself, what's the overarching narrative here? And what's the story that'll be sold to the market? Once you understand this, you'll find your takes to be much more balanced. That perspective should shift from how you perceive something to how the market will perceive it. The power of a strong narrative and a good storytelling can often outweigh that of an amazing asset that is misunderstood. And so I say that all to say, you have something like Repo, which has great numbers, but it's clearly not understood yet. Clearly, the numbers aren't priced in yet. So can we now find this asset like maybe Repo, numbers, scale, all that good stuff, great team, and then also give and attach a fantastic narrative and storyline to it? And so, you know, that's just a conversation I wanted to have. And Chill, maybe even from there, we could kind of have that discussion. We see so many times fundamentals being so strong with projects. Their earnings are so good. Like, look at Pump Fund, right? They're 1 to 3 price to earnings. They're doing $320 million a year at the bottom, yet price is not representing that. You know, why is that? Do you think we should be focusing more on narrative and storytelling than fundamentals, or is it kind of a dance that we have to find the middle ground with?
No, I think you hold straight to, you know, you hold to core investment principles that have worked time and time again. You invest, you have to put an investor hat on, not a trader hat on. So it's a different type of mindset, but literally park your capital, monitor the fundamentals of the trade, and just sit and wait and be patient. And it's very easy to say that, but it's hard to do because, you know, I could only imagine if you're a holder of Repo and maybe you're looking at, you know, some of these other narratives that come and go. Maybe you're looking at Ansem going from 0 to, you know, 150 million. And you're like, man, I wish that would happen to my Repo bag. But the reality is you just need to be patient. If you wait long enough, the market will come up with a narrative that will push price. The market will sort itself out. The problem is right now there is a barrier to entry. This project, it's still pretty early stage. Like using Repo as an example, it's still pretty early stage. They're still closing enterprise deals. They're still closing out these conversations with businesses. They just launched their V2, and the market is just now trying to digest exactly what it is that they're solving for. And eventually, someone will come up with a one-liner on CT that will like make it click for the larger market, and then it will just create this narrative that would then, you know, create an influx in capital, and that will push price. Example of what's happened, other projects that's happened to in the past. Tau. No one understood what Tau was in 2022, 2023. One of my homies was telling me to buy it via OTC or wherever. It was like this barrier to entry just to buy it. And no one really understood it until decentralized AI, the narrative formed, and the narrative will meet the project where it is. So I think that's really how you need to approach, investing in this space and just investing in projects like Repo. Just think with a long-term mindset. Don't think in narratives. CT and the market, they will take care of the narrative in time. We just wait for that time to come. And you just need to make sure that whatever it is that you're investing in can last until the narrative, takes its turn and points at that particular project. That's really what it is. So yeah, the market will figure it out. That's a clip.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes the narrative needs to show itself, right? You can and that's what it's about, right? It's a dance where maybe the narrative's not so relevant. It's okay, I'm building this thesis, I'm understanding now, and not everyone's paying attention to it, but I can see that this takes shape as a strong storyline, as a strong narrative. And so like it is that dance where it's like, does this have potential? Do I have potential to tell this story? Does this narrative fit into something that people can pick up and adopt? And by the way, can I find it early enough where I'm seeing the fundamentals, but that disconnect is still happening on chain? So
yeah. I mean, there's so many other projects. GMCG, Daddy Duster, good to see you, bro.
What up?
There's so many other projects that this is was tuned in, was hoping the fellas had the traps out. I mean, look, it's still time. There's still time, Dom. That's right. Daddy Duster's only, he's only just gotten here, so there is still time. But other projects that's happened to, we can go down the list. Pendle, no one understood Pendle at 15 million market cap. No one. Tau, no one understood that. Stuff like VVV. No one really understood or cared about VVV at the lows.
Token model, right? Or the inference that they provide for holding. You're right. I mean,
and you can go, the list goes on and on and on. Eventually the market will catch up and they'll form their own narrative for everyone to understand, and people will FOMO in and price will go up. But for the people that actually dig in, they research, they read through the white paper, or they come to MCG and watch us ask these questions, breaking down exactly what's going on, what the numbers mean, who are they talking to, what market are they operating in, what problem are they trying to solve. When we actually dig in, when you actually take the time to dig in, that's when you see the vision before anyone else. And by the time CT catches up, man, you're early. You're already positioned.
Absolutely. Guys, we have a great show for the rest of the day. By the way, we just got done with Repo. If you're tuning in now, we have Pumpcade coming on. I saw they just retweeted, so some of you guys are jumping in from that. They're coming on. Pop Punk has said, he said this in the last one, he said it, he's been teasing it a little bit, that they have the biggest announcement in Pumpcade history that's dropping shortly, and I think maybe live on our stream here. So it's something to pay attention to. They have the World Cup going on. They're launching their Pumpcade, campaign, the Pumpcade Cup, with $60,000 up for grabs, plus an additional $10,000 that they bought off the open market for, three of the top meme coins that they're giving to pre-signups. So, you know what? Actually, before we even get into that, what I'm going to do for you guys is, here's a little alpha. Here's a little insight on Pumpcade. Pumpcade's coming out. They're doing all this stuff. They have $60,000 up for grab for the remainder of the World Cup. Okay, there's going to be a pool every day for free. And so if I'm taking my logical sense here, now there's never a free buck, right? Their goal is, of course, to acquire customers. They get you hooked, you keep playing. That's the goal. But you know what? You have the opportunity to go and sign up for free, pre-register, play for a pool of $6,000 a day, and there's no strings attached. Doesn't sound too bad, especially for a new product that maybe doesn't have a ton of users, right? So if there's 60,000 up for grabs and you're playing every day against 100 users, man, your odds are pretty good. I think they're going to get a lot more users than 100. I think they're actually going to have insane metrics, which is one thing we're going to ask about. But the general pool of players is relatively low, I would assume, for the amount of money they put up. So make sure you go and pre-register. With that, let me actually pull up the MCG account because we do have a ref for you guys. But go do it. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be playing. I don't know much about the World Cup or soccer at all, but I'll definitely be trying my luck because it seems like an obvious bet here. And here's the clip I'll even play of Pop Punk talking about the big announcement. Team members are talking about partnerships that you're looking at. Obviously the full access to this World Cup, what are some timelines? What does the roadmap look like? Give something for the people to chew on here.
Yeah, so I think within the next week, we're going to have a really, really big announcement, probably one of our biggest announcements yet. And it's going to be like related to like the World Cup and stuff like that. And you will see that live early next month, like the actual like product part of it.
We got team members we're talking about. So you heard him say it. So that's what we're expecting today. With that being said, chill. Can we? I'm not sure how you can do this, but can you send this ref link? Because we have a ref. I'll drop it for you guys. Or maybe I can even drop it here, post a comment. Let me know if you guys see this. I'm not sure how this works. Yeah, post it on YouTube and Twitch. But chill, maybe go and drop that ref in the comments. You guys should smack this. I've signed up. Here, I'll show you here. Let me tab over. I've signed up. I've pre-registered. It should be an interesting go here. So there we go. Yep, there it is. So this is the Cade Cup. I'll make it big for you guys. Pre-registered. I've linked my email. Have not linked my X. Whatever. So signed up. Everything looks good. Okay, looks like we got nine referrals here. So the people are coming in. But look at this. Free play money match markets, real daily prizes. So this is the thing. It's free to play. Not sure how many people are going to sign up, but it doesn't really matter because there's $5,000 on the line, every single day for free plays. There's $1,000 side quest pools plus an additional $10,000 for pre-registers before Saturday. So go ahead and do this. You don't have to connect a wallet, right? It comes with a wallet for you. So pretty cut and dry, I would say. No reason really not to do this. But Chill just sent it in the Twitter chat. It's also on our Twitter, whatever. It's also on YouTube and Twitch. I digress. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the market. Markets are pumping, and that's coming out at 2 p.m. So we got 20 minutes.
I got a couple things. If you want me to take it,
jump into it. Can we start high time frame because the monthly just closed, and the monthly close looks terrible for Bitcoin, terrible for Ethereum, fantastic for Solana. So maybe do a quick little high level majors before we jump too deep into it.
Let's do it. Okay, so let's see here real quick. So yeah, let's start with that. So I got a whole thing I want to talk to you guys about. All right, so let's let me share my screen here. Boom. There we go. All right, so let's look at Bitcoin. So I told you guys, what was it? Yesterday, Monday, whatever day it was. It was yesterday. Told you guys yesterday. I'm only concerned with the next leg of price. And where do I think we're going to next? I think we're going to the FVG. So we kind of have this price action here. All right. Yesterday, I told you guys, hey, look, I'm looking for a close here because on the daily, it looks like we're forming an SFP on the daily down here. So far, so good, right? We have a close coming in about 6 hours and 18 minutes, but I'm expecting for Bitcoin to make a move up to, anywhere between, call it 65 and 70K. I really think that if we want to get more specific, maybe 67.2 or 67, a little higher than 67K. I wouldn't be surprised to see us kind of like sweep some liquidity up here. So here's the line I'm going to draw in the sand, so to speak, for price. So I think we make it, up here, and before we ultimately nuke sub like really deep, really deep into this green box. Maybe we go sub 55K. Maybe we end up going to, wicking down to 50K. But I think that next move will ultimately form our bottom. For now, though, that's just a thesis. For now, I'm only concerned with the next leg of price. And right now, we've swept liquidity at the lows. I think we are now, quote unquote, establishing 60K as support. I think that's just all a psyop, though, for just to build up liquidity at 60K before they ultimately nuke it. 60K has been looking like it's holding, and that's going to encourage people to, set their stops and their liquidation levels, at or slightly below 60K, thinking it's support, when in reality, price will likely nuke through it at some point to ultimately form our bottom. So that's where I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking right now. The next leg of price, we're probably going to 60, just a little above 67K. With that said, if we're having a move up, if we're now looking at, a bullish July, essentially, what does that mean for the rest of the market? We talked about this. I told you guys yesterday, my ultimate target here is $100, approximately $100 for
And can
for
you
Solana.
zoom out for me here and look at the monthly close on this, because the wick is beautiful.
Yes.
Like, we've bounced really nicely. It's showing a lot of strength going into the monthly close, which is what we want to see. And
So we talked about this, and you guys know this is probably like last week or the week before. I told you guys that, hey, look, I am looking at the 2-month close. There is a 2-month FEG that we were going into. There was an SFP forming, and I believe it was last week. I said, hey, look, we got 7 days until the close. Once it closes, I'm going long. And I think ultimately this would mark the bottom for Solana, in my opinion. This is a high time frame zone here with the FEG at the 0.786 key retracement level that we use all the time. On top of that, you have an SFP that's on the 2-month as well. High time frame. To me, that signals there's going to be a much larger move to come here. So as we go into,
I think even the monthly looks better. Can we even just get a 1-month view?
Yeah. There's a 1 month.
I love that wick. 9 months straight down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months straight down. Strong bounce off that wick, and we're already starting the month off very nice. So I'll let you keep going.
We talked to you guys about this last week. In fact, I do have receipts if some of the new viewers need it. But basically, we talked about not only the SFP, not only the 2-month FEG here, but what we also said last week was, hey, look, there's this big fact that is, Solana is down 9 months in a row. And traditionally, from a seasonality standpoint, July is one of the best months for Solana. And so, when you look at that, price is down, it's coming to a key zone to bounce. When you look at the fact that July is one of the better months, and then on top of that, you also add the fact that Bitcoin is also looking at, getting a short-term bounce here. I think that's enough wind in the sails of Solana for us to see a really good move here in July. And so here real quick is the receipt. As you can see, this is a post from MCG, back, a week ago, June 23rd, and we talked about this is the monthly returns for Solana, by the way. The monthly returns for Solana indicates that July is one of the best performing months for Solana. So let's put all of this together for a moment. We have people quitting crypto in mass. People, they have a doomer mentality towards this space. It's all a scam. There's rugs everywhere. There's meme coins. Nothing good is going to come out of this space. People have zeroed out their portfolios. But meanwhile, we're coming into a bottom on Bitcoin. We're 75% done. Number two, we're coming into one of the best. All right, there you go. So we don't have to listen to the rest of it, but you get the overall idea. We're not only coming into a bottom for Solana, we're coming into a bottom for the entire market. And to me, it looks like, Solana is kind of ahead of the rest of the market in terms of, ultimately forming its bottom. We just said, Bitcoin might still have some work to do. Obviously, ETH is in a really nice zone, really, really nice zone. But ultimately, ETH also has some work to do as well. I'm going to get long on ETH at some point. But, it just not yet. I need to see a little bit more. No sweep of any liquidity here. I would love to see a sweep of 1,500 before, I get super bullish on ETH. But, ultimately, still flat so far. Haven't taken a long on ETH. Unfortunately, my Solana limit order did not hit. I saw this 4-hour SFP at 64.6, and I was like, maybe we go down to retest. So I had it set this low, and it just did not hit. So I'll look for another sweep and see if I get an opportunity to jump in on something again. But that's the high time frame views on Bitcoin. I got a few A few breaking news here. I think I saw one of you guys. I think I saw one of you guys talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, just you, Fumbler. He's good on my
Just
end.
you, Fumbler. Tough. I mean, oh my goodness. But we saw the breaking news come out of this morning with Venice. So Venice AI secures $65 million in a Series A, reaching a unicorn status with a $1 billion plus valuation. So massive. And from what I understand, there were some pretty big players involved in the round. While I confirmed that, we actually had some the Venice founder come out and say a few words as well. He says, VVV and Capital, measured by revenue, Venice has become the largest company at the intersection of AI and crypto economics. Today, we announced Venice's first round of outside capital, led by Dragonfly, valuing Venice's equity at $1 billion. Since we are an atypical company, this thread describes how this equity raise relates to the most valuable asset we have on our balance sheet, our token VVV. So I wanted to kind of see how he views token versus equity.
And it's a question I meant to ask the repo guys too, because again, when you're taking these businesses off chain and you have a strong Web 2 presence, how do you view the token versus equity component? Do you have equity and a token? Do you have just equity? Do you have just a token? Is a token representative of equity? And there's so much discussion around this. Of course, again, not one size fits all kind of situation, but yeah, I'm curious how this works too as well, Chill.
Yeah, he said in terms of supply dynamics, assuming he basically said, like, look, investors, the tokens are locked for 2 years. Well, by the time the token unlocks for their investors, it'll be 2 years since VVV would have been launched. Actually, there was an update on CPT, Daddy Duster. There's an update there. So,
I will give you guys the update on CPT for sure. And Jones, Crypto Jones, I had the equity thing written down on my thing. I just completely forgot to ask it. I literally have it written right here. Equity token component. Yeah. So I meant to I meant to get it, man. It's just there's too much, and I'm trying to keep it moving. So
yeah. I will say this. We had this discussion yesterday. Basically there is not every project needs to have this token to equity model, right? It all depends on what the project is. Like, is it like a network token, like, where you stake to secure the network, or is there some other practical utility? Obviously, with something like VVV, I think I think that is different, because you stake VVV to get the DM token, to get the compute, what have you. And so I think this token doesn't necessarily need an equity model to align it with token holders, because there's real utility. Like you can't have VVV, you can't have Ask Venice AI without having the VVV token. Like, both are very, like, the product and token are one, and they do that in a way that doesn't make it doesn't increase the friction for users. So I'm not going to be too harsh, and I would even say the same for Repo as well. Their token is very key to their product. Their product and token are one, and essentially their company is just is providing a wrapper around all of these underlying dynamics, with the community voting, with the relocking, with the staking, and all of this stuff. They're essentially providing a wrapped product to these enterprises and to these businesses. So they don't have to worry about the token and stuff like that. The community has to, because the users will vote, the users will get paid, etc. So I think with VVV and Repo, I don't really harp too much on equity, because there's already natural alignment. But it's good to see here that basically Eric Voorhees says that, hey, look, there's no plans to the token. They're going to take a portion of the revenue. They'll do buyback and burdens to reduce emissions. And he said that they're the biggest holder of VVV. And so they're incentivized to make sure that the price goes up, essentially. Our hope is that this demonstrates better aligned model between company, venture capital, and community. With this, we scale private and unrestricted intelligence, building Venice into the port city for agent civilization on the horizon. Minds. All right, cool. So
that's incredible.
So yeah, great stuff here. Great stuff here by Eric Voorhees.
Can we talk
another
CPT
piece of news
updates real quick?
Yeah. Go for it. CPT
sure
updates.
I actually had the same chart I was going to pull up as well, ironically. On CPT, yeah, very interesting development here. And, on the equity kind of question and conversation we are having, we got something really interesting here. And I need to find this dang tab I had it pulled up in. Which I think I just
maybe while you pull that up, Dom, I think what I'm going to do real quick is just going to do some housekeeping. Appreciate you guys for joining us. There's about 600 of us in here right now. We just concluded our interview with Repo. We're going on to have Pop Punk with Pumpcade and the new COO come on in about 7 minutes. So we know that there's a few of you guys joining. If you're here for the first time, welcome to MCG. We're going to do some housekeeping. Go to @MCG Live on Twitter. Number one, make sure you follow the account. We're here Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time, except this week because it's technically summer vacation. We'll be out of office both Thursday and Friday, and we'll see if I do a surprise stream. But right now, that's the plan. And I want you to scroll down. Thank you so much for 11.8K followers. That's 100. We're up 100 followers from yesterday. So still just 100 followers per day, hyper growth. We appreciate you guys. You can follow our MCG Alpha account as well for some extra stuff from MCG. I want you to scroll down until you see our pinned tweet. Here's our pinned tweet. I want you to do two things. I want you to like and retweet the pinned tweet. Right. Let everyone know, let the homies know the MCG is live. Let them know that Pumpcade is coming on stream here shortly, and let them know how much you love MCG. I'm actually gonna shoot a comment in here as well. Might as well. But now we'll let Dom take it over for the CPT update.
Thank you for that, Chill. Yeah, let's talk CPT, man. You guys were wondering what's going on there. I got you. Interesting, same question as CPT. Seems like bullish news, but vague and limited efforts from the team on the marketing/transparency side to facilitate some concerns. Still waiting on the demo from January. Yeah, we're still waiting on the demo. We all want to see it. I'm in the same boat. But let's read through the update. And if you guys couldn't tell, I picked up on this instantly. They go, as Impulsor enters its next phase of growth, feedback from prospective investors has highlighted the opportunity to evolve beyond the current SOAR venture model. As the wider venture ecosystem continues to develop, and with Impulsor's capital requirements and strategic direction evolving, we're implementing a structure that is better aligned with institutional and strategic investors. This includes a framework that will enable eligible holders' positions to transit into equity. Further details on the proposed structure, mechanics, and token integration will be shared in upcoming announcements. Stay tuned. And very clearly, this picture is an Impulsor logo with an 8, an A, and then 2 missing spots. It's ace. Okay, they're doing the ace round. Is what it seems like. Now, this is interesting because SOAR is already backed with equity. So what am I exchanging the token for here? If I'm exchanging the token, there's 7-8% equity on chain. Am I going to get, they're going to be able to pay down that debt that they owe the token holder. And then what are they going to give me extra equity on top of that? That's the only way I really see this working. It is unclear, but there's a few things to highlight here. So they'll do an ace round, which even if it is unclear or how the ace round is going to work exactly, I'm not entirely sure, but we do know ace rounds are bullish. We've seen what the market does, how it reacts to ace rounds. So I will say, even if it's just a change of model from SOAR to ace, I think it is still generally bullish. But yeah, there's 6, 7, whatever it is, 7% equity of CPT that is locked up via SOAR. So this is tradable on chain. This represents equity in the company. What I will note, though, from this, they said, as a wider venture ecosystem continues to develop. What do you guys think this could mean? As the wider venture ecosystem continues to develop, and with Impulsor's capital requirements and strategic direction evolving, we're implementing a structure that is better aligned with institutional and strategic investors. I'm perceiving this that they're seeking funding, and they need a token model that's going to put token holders side by side with those investors, put you on the cap table like the ace round would do. That's why I take this. Now, the market has reacted very nicely to this. So I'll pull out the CPT chart, but that's all I really have on it. It's just they're going to do ace round. Again, I would like some more clarity as well, along with you guys. But that's the current situation. It's obviously pumped because of this, which is no surprise. And since has, kind of left some wicks, but it's holding up relatively nicely. Again, still just doing its thing. So
what do you think about Daddy Dusters? What do you think about Daddy Dusters' comment here or question? And what's an eligible holder? Aren't all holders eligible? Appetite for announcements when teams has been quite lax depth, professionalism, in my opinion. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Now the communication has been pretty terrible. And so that's some feedback for the Impulsor team that they should probably take to heart. Work on the feedback. And you're right. The announcement, it's kind of tiring. I don't want to see an announcement that's announcing that they're going to do another announcement. It's not a good way to conduct business. We know it's typically a bearish thing for crypto. And again, I think this is part of the founder learning curve for crypto. But nonetheless, I agree with you. As for what an eligible holder is, I'm not sure. The only thing I can think of is with the ace round, it's only, everyone's eligible except for some specific people in the United States. If you're not an accredited investor or you don't go through specific steps to like verify what you're doing. So when they say eligible, I would imagine this is in terms of outside of the US is eligible. And then if you're in the US, you have to be an accredited investor or you have to do some specific stuff to make sure it works. If I had to guess, but I'm not going to speak for them. This is what for the team to decide. So, that's that. Chill, you had something pull up on Solana in terms of volume. I have the exact same thing. Do you want to touch on this real quick before we pull up our boy Pop Punk?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it here. All right. The last thing I wanted to pull up was this chart. The question of the day is, has on-chain summer began, right? And yesterday we talked a little bit more about the metrics of the metrics surrounding on-chain volume, users, activity, graduations. All of the metrics are going crazy. We've even saw that the spot equity markets on chain, the tokenized stocks on chain, even that side of things are getting persistent volume. And just to kind of forward that conversation, we see it here. Transactions on Solana has hit all-time highs across every major time frame, with daily, weekly, and monthly transaction counts all reaching record levels. So I say all of that to say, is this the time for us to start paying attention? The market has been largely a sleepy market, a lazy market, as we like to say. No one really taking the time to really dig into different projects. So many updates have gone unnoticed and have fallen under the radar. But we see a clear change in the metrics on chain, and perhaps that leads to a less sleepy market. People more that come in with capital, and they're alive. They're excited about what's happening on chain, and perhaps that will drive activity, price action, et cetera, moving forward. So that all of that to say, activity is likely about to tick up, and no doubt that's bullish for our friends here at Pumpcade as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I guess on this note too, it's not just meme volume. Of course, this is a conversation we continue to go back to, this internet capital market narrative, and the rise in equities has been super, super apparent on Solana. Obviously, even in the last week, multiple days flipping meme coins in terms of spot volume for equities with Sunrise and the listings that they're doing over there. So really promising. I think volumes are growing, of course, largely because of what we're seeing go on with Ansem right now, and the volume he's bringing into his Ansem token and a bunch of meme coins, and just like the livelihood he's bringing back to the markets. But in tandem, that is happening with this massive emergence of RWAs and equities coming on chain. So it's like you have this two-prong approach where it's not just meme coins pulling up volume, it's also equities, and they're like working in tandem right now beautifully. So volumes are up across the board. I mean, it feels really good right now in the Solana ecosystem. So nonetheless, I'm excited. Speaking of really exciting in the Solana ecosystem, one we've had on the show quite a few times, we got Pop Punk in the waiting room, and Pumpcade, as he mentioned on the last conversation, has one of their biggest announcements to date, I think, rolling out here surrounding this World Cup situation. It's funny, we just had him on a week ago, but we have not had their very new COO on. I don't know if we've we've seen her come and speak publicly at all yet, but lots of cool stuff going on. I think we want to talk about this World Cup. They have $60,000 up for grabs. We've told you guys, go sign up now, pre-register. $60,000 up for grabs in free plays, and they're really making their debut here with the World Cup. So without further ado, let's pull up our friends over from Pumpcade. Mr. Pop Punk, welcome back, and you have a friend with you today.
What's up? What's up? Happy Pumpcade summer. It's Solana summer, but more importantly, it's Pumpcade summer. And yeah, super excited to be here. And I'm excited now to have Kathleen with me, our newly appointed COO.
Very nice. Kathleen, this is a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you for the first time.
Thanks. Yeah, you too.
We're excited to talk. You have quite the background. I think I want to start there because I want to get to know you and let, I think, the Pumpcade community get familiarized with yourself a little bit here. But could you introduce yourself for us and everyone listening today?
Sure. Kathleen, I'm COO at Pumpcade. I've been in crypto the last 10 years. I started my career at, I actually had a blockchain business ecosystem in Chicago right when all this was taking off. And I got all of these different like massive institutions exposure to what was happening in the space and kind of like brokered a bunch of deals and investments. And then I went to Jump Capital at the time. I was investing there actually within sports betting. So it was within sports betting, crypto, and then like B2B SaaS. And that's when they decided to like go public with Jump Crypto and like really hone in on the crypto side of things. It's all under the umbrella of Jump Trading, like the mega multi-billion dollar trading company. And I was able to help like carve out that crypto ecosystem. I saw a lot of the projects on Solana. I was front row to how they would operate and grow and get exposure. And yeah, there's a lot on that side of things that I had exposure to, and a lot of connections that then carried me over into my next job. I became wildly degenerate. I like made so much fucking money on meme coins in like 2021, 20. I remember trying to figure out
One of us.
like, Safe Moon was one of them. Like I bought my house off of some of those early ones. Those were the days. But I was like, I have to get in this. Like in traditional VC, you don't have the opportunity to like immediately get tokens, right? Like you have to wait for there to be like acquisitions or additional rounds. Whereas within a lot of these companies, they give out tokens to employees. So at the time, Axie Infinity was just taking off. And I was like, this is like going to be fucking hot. I need to get in here. And so I was put in touch with them through A16Z. While at Jump, I was able to carve out like the best investment network between like market makers, trading firms, investment firms. And then Sky Mavis hired me to build out the Ronin ecosystem. That was the chain Axie Infinity was built on as the first non-technical employee. And then we were hacked for $600 million 2 weeks after I joined. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? Why did I just leave Jump? But it actually it was terrible to happen, but it was a career defining moment for me because I had to build from the ground up, like actually the ashes. I'm wildly resourceful, and I looked at what Axie had built with that like genuine community. Like it's not hot right now, but at one point that took over the world. Like the Philippines economy almost collapsed because everyone was playing Axie for making money. And what happened there is like this really genuine sense of community. People got in early. That's kind of what's happening with Pumpcade. Like the tokens available, the assets were available. They got in early, they got rich, they built infrastructure, they gave back. And so I leveraged that, put together a really solid like operating platform for more teams to come on and leverage. The first one that I invested in was Pixels. And it was a very clear, like this really can tap into like the community Axie has built. I invested in them, very low valuation. They came on, worked with them, got access to Axie community and hit $4 billion valuation. So I got to oversee that while I was at Sky Mavis, which actually had significant influence in me leaving Pumpcade because being on the ground floor is something I've always like aspired to do myself. Instead of just like be the advisor and investor and help these companies grow, but not have that upside. Like I am a degenerate. I love tokens. I love 100x. Like I love making money. So I need that to happen. And then Pump Fun, I had the opportunity to join Pump Fun, and you don't say no to that because that is absolute like powerhouse kingmakers of the space. I joined Pump Fun after 3.5 years of carving out Sky Mavis, Axie, and Ronin. And I was brought on essentially to help like lead this new layer of builders to launch tokens on the platform. So I constructed the fund, the hackathon initiative, a bunch of other initiatives, and I got to like be in the rooms like brainstorming with the founders who are absolute savants. That entire team, the founders, Vasha, Rain, like they are so damn smart. I've been around the most like powerful and smart people in the entire world, and what happens at Pump Fun is significantly more exciting and valuable, and just the genius in that company. I've never seen it before, and I'm like so lucky to have had that experience and exposure to how these people build. And working there for as long as I did, I have some like magic that I definitely can bring to the table, and I have Alon, Noah, all those guys to thank for it, because they truly have something special. I've never seen anyone ship and execute like that, and like they are absolutely going places. So when I invested in Pumpcade, I knew like immediately when I met Harrison and how he talked. Like I've been investing this whole all in crypto, but Pumpcade, the thesis of like short instant prediction markets, instantly resolved. That is huge. It's so in investing, like you want something simple that there's a need for. And the way Harrison like ships and executes and talks about it, and then I got to see the product. I was like, oh, I got the itch, and I'm like, oh man, like I have to go there. I was on the phone with him, helping him raise. We did 2 rounds in 10 days. It was like unprecedented what happened with a live Pump Fund token.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I talked to Alon about it.
Can I even jump in
Go
on
ahead.
this and ask
Yeah.
on that pitch? Because we hadn't really seen this before, and more so, this is like it's been really beautiful to watch the evolution of this. Now we're actually starting to see a reality where you can go and launch a token, bootstrap that distribution, maybe bootstrap funding, and by the way, actually go on to raise VC after that. This was one of those big cases. I think we saw Avi from Kleds manage to do that as well, and there's starting to be these few pockets of cases that are where it's
Yeah.
coming up. But maybe talk to me how you see that, and you're on these calls. You go and do a raise. This is like the first of its kind, really. Again, you have this token. What do those conversations look like? How are VCs starting to be more accepting of this? Just like your thoughts are really, I'd be curious to hear them here.
Yeah. The token is so important in all these different ways. We have been around in crypto for a long time. We've seen every use case of it. The way it is used, and especially as like not only the speculation vehicle, but for like in the product and for community building, it was the first time that it was positioned as like it being live as the asset. So of all companies I've invested in, typically and I think this is to a fault, the token ends up being the product. There is so much around like how we launched the token and who's going to market make, and are we going to be on exchanges, and all those conversations, which are still relevant, like especially with Pumpcade, but instead of focusing on building out a product that can break into mainstream, that can break into retail, teams are focused on launching this fucking token. And when you have a live token, it becomes a tool instead. And especially on Pump Fun, like being able to build a community with it, it's a tool. And the VCs we spoke to, who are the smartest in the entire game, like saw that actually as an asset, the live token as an asset, and a way for us to concentrate on the product versus like having it be the product itself. So it's very easy. It's very different. You had to get creative in how you like framed it, but they saw the vision, and they also, they wanted both as well. So, and it's interesting because everyone we talk to, like Harrison he's not salesy, but he's so good at sales. Like I just listen to him and I'm convinced. I'm like, what do you want me to buy? Like, I will buy it. And we get on calls and we're talking about like growth, and we're talking about legal and all these different things. And all of a sudden the people we talk to are like, hey, I just aped. Like, I really like your product. And I think that's so cool, especially as we talk about growth and putting together lists of big whales that will be using Pumpcade and will be checking out to view the platform. They now have a mechanism to get involved. Like, these people are speculative by nature. If they like our product and they're putting money into it and they're winning or they're losing, but they like it, now they can just buy the token and get involved. And you don't have that with Kalshi or Polymarket.
Yeah, something you said that was very interesting is Harrison makes a very compelling case here. And ironically, this is the conversation we had prior to you guys coming on here. It's like there's kind of these two facets of it. You need to have, number one, like great fundamentals and a great product, but equally as important is the narrative that you're trying to sell and the story that you can tell behind it. Do you think that's a lot where the value lies? You guys were pitching Pumpcade pre-product, as far as I can tell. So like there's a lot of narrative building and storytelling that goes into that.
Yeah.
Maybe walk me through what that looks like.
Yeah, well, we viewed it as like a pre-seed raise, right? Pre-seed, you're typically based on the team and the idea. And the team at one point was just Harrison, and everything about him, like the way he presents himself, the way he thinks, his background, like having experience before in companies, understanding like things that have gone wrong, like his master engineering skills. Like he's so sellable. I am a salesperson, like hands down. I'm an investor, but like ultimately all of that comes down to sales, even like marketing. He's very sellable, and the product vision is also very sellable because it is clean and it fits a need. So
and on this note, just to close it off with a bow here, on the note of token raising with a token, do you think we start to see more of this going forward? You guys have been this kind of proof of concept. Is this something you think we can envision more of in the future?
100%. There's teams on Pump Fund right now that I know could be raising that have a token. I hope we shift into the mindset of the token is used, especially in the early onset of this, as a vehicle towards exposure and growing in community versus waiting, making people farm and airdrop. Like I'm hoping those ways are in the past and people now see the token as like a way to get early community involved and leverage them. We have a chat with the early community members, and I even met one of them for coffee. They're fucking smart. They're powerful. If I need something, I'm writing in there. I'm getting connections to videographers, to these people. In business, that typically does not exist. I want people to start looking at an early token launch, especially on Pump, where community is central, as like this actually could be the most valuable tool that you have at the beginning of your company. And especially as we were announcing the raises and the ACE round, it took over crypto Twitter. And a lot of that was thanks to our community.
Big time.
Yeah,
big time.
just to add one thing to that, like I think and I hope and like I know that we're going to see now more examples of people raising with a token, specifically because you have Pumpcade as an example now. Like when I launched the token, like obviously creator fees dip off and stuff like that, and people are like, cool, he's going to kill the project, it's dead. Like you can't raise money, you have a token. More importantly, you have a token that you fucking deployed on Pump Fun, and I'm like, okay, yeah, watch me. And now you have like the prime example of like a product that started with a token before there was any code written. It was literally just the idea, created the token, went on to raise capital, millions of dollars from some of the best investors in the world. And now, the way that we're operating is really to pave the way for like other projects that want to do this. So I 100% expect to see more Pump Fund tokens raise, institutional capital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so wild and so powerful when you really think about it. You can have this idea, put that idea out there into the sphere. It gets circulating, and people now all of a sudden you have money to fund this, and this idea turns in, okay, I have money, I can build out infrastructure. And again, I go back to that conversation with Avi and Kled, and Avi had this idea about licensing data. It started with an idea, raises 6-7 figures from community, and all of a sudden now he builds out pipeline. He uses that money to fund initial distribution and bootstrap what would typically be VC subsidized money to pay out users for data. And now they have a $300 million business. And I think like this story, the more it happens, you guys being a proof case here, it's going to be a very obvious answer to founders who have very little right now, very little attention, and just an idea to really start. So I think you guys have like paved the way in a big way. So more props and power to you with that. One more thing I do want to touch on, Cosgood, Kathleen. What should I call you here?
You can call me Kathleen.
Kathleen, okay.
My name's Kathleen Osgood, so this is just a...
Oh, it's a little you shipped him. Okay.
People call me Cos. It's fine.
We'll do Kathleen. I like it. With that being said, you I think gave the most thorough background we've ever had on the show breakdown. So I appreciate that. But it brings me to this question. You had a lot of options, and you put up this tweet that I want to touch on a little bit here. You mentioned spent the last year watching Pumpcade gain momentum while building a Pump Funds fund, hackathon plus ICM strategy. two things about me. I like working at billion-dollar companies, and I really don't like missing out on 100 X's, which I think you thoroughly described here when you gave us this breakdown. I go back to saying you have these options, you have this, these accolades and background. You took a risk to go and join Pumpcade. Why did you do that?
Why did I do it? Because I think I can make a ton of money here. I think that Pumpcade, out of my 10 years, has the most opportunity and potential to break into retail and become a breakout app from crypto, hands down. And I like in my post, I clearly like making money. With my background working at Jump, Axie, Pump, I could work literally anywhere. I know I can. And this is where I want to work because I also know what opportunity looks like when it's staring me right in the face. And I'm not going to pass that up.
Love it.
Yeah. I know other places that were trying to hire her and that like she had offers from, and crazy companies that like, if you told me like 9 months ago when I deployed Pumpcade that I would have the opportunity to hire someone that had like this background and like these opportunities on the table, I'd be like, you're nuts. But it just makes sense now. Like Pumpcade really does have the opportunity to do what most companies in our space haven't, and that's actually cleanly break in to being a retail consumer app.
Yeah, and I mean, there's only so much upside you have if you like looking at all the options on the table, like where I potentially could have gone. You have to look at where you get in, like where you get the most upside. And I think that speaks to just like where this company is at and where it's going. Love
it. Guys, let's jump into the product here. You have a massive launch coming up, and I'm excited to get into it. Pop Punk, specifically on our last interview we had with you a week ago, which we rarely have guests on back-to-back a week, so you're a special guy. But with that being said, you mentioned you have a big announcement, and this World Cup was something we kind of started touching on, but very briefly got into it. Today, you guys announced $5,000 a day in prizes starting Sunday, I believe, for the World Cup, 60,000 total, an additional $1,000 like bonus you have every day, plus I believe $10,000 for pre-registers. Walk me through what's happened in the last week since we talked. That's exciting, and just give me the update.
Yeah, so we announced the Cade Cup. Just by nature, like the way that we built like our application, our UX, our protocol, and stuff like that, sports markets are really perfect for Pumpcade because there's lots of moments, there's lots of opportunities to place a prediction during sports. So we started building it a couple months ago. We started with like sports markets and stuff. We got into a place where we think that the World Cup is a really good place to finally debut our sports markets. We went to the Solana Foundation. We asked if they wanted to sponsor it with us. And we decided that we're going to do, starting on July 4th through the end of the World Cup, we're going to do Pumpcade Sports Markets. It's going to be an entirely new platform, completely different than anything anyone has ever seen so far through the closed beta, open beta, etc. And we're giving you free money every single day. Play money to place predictions on Pumpcade and use the platform. So it's going to be markets like who wins this game, which team takes a shot on goal next, like some longer markets and a lot of like short recurrent markets and stuff like that. We are so confident about like the product and like how this is so different from anything. Like we're a prediction market and we're also kind of sports betting, but we don't look like a prediction market. We don't look like a sports book. Like we've built such an interesting experience. And we're so excited for people to try it that we're literally putting money on the line saying, hey, we think you're going to like this. You can play it for free. And I don't even know like what the total is at this point. I think it's probably closer to like 70 grand in total that we're giving out. Like we have some random stuff daily and stuff like that. But we really want to show what instant prediction markets can do like as a whole, but more importantly for sports. And this doesn't end with the World Cup. We have access to data from literally every single sport, but this is really showing people like how the product works and stuff like that. And we're super excited for the Cade Cup to start on, Saturday.
Yeah, so it was funny. I was actually talking about this with my friends, doing some onboarding. And for what's worth, I'm not one to shill ref links. I don't really do it. But I looked at this opportunity. I'm like, okay, they're giving away a bunch of free money. It's a brand new platform. Why the heck not? So this is what I've been doing some onboarding work with. But I remember watching, I think it was the Morocco game 2 days ago, and they were doing these penalty kicks. And I've really never seen two teams miss more penalty kicks in my life. And I instantly thought of Pumpcade. Like, imagine being able to bet on each one of these kicks and the outcome of that. Could you maybe talk me through a more practical example of how this will work, come Saturday when this thing goes full force?
Yeah, so basically every single game that goes live, we're auto-generating markets for it. You can predict on the outcome of like overall games beforehand. But when the game is live, you'll see on the platform, like, I don't want to reveal too much about like what the platform looks like because it's very unique to what everyone else is doing, but you're going to see markets just on the side going, and they're quick markets that you have the opportunity to get in, predict in. And we use Sport Radar for our data. They're a super good provider. We have data that is maximum of 1 second latency, and we've battle tested this. Like, we were in our daily stand up this morning and we were watching Pumpcade and we were watching ESPN. And in many cases, we were like 30 seconds faster than them. Like, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, everything comes down to like, we have real-time data, so we can offer instant prediction markets that resolve instantly, pay out instantly.
Can I ask a little more about this relationship with Solana Foundation? They're kind of helping you in tandem with some of the money and bootstrapping this. What does that relationship look like? And not to like get off the Pumpcade conversation, but we see, I think, Worlds coming out recently with their prediction markets, or it's assumed that that's going to be a prediction market, and they're getting a big push from just all the forces of Solana. Clearly, Solana wants a native prediction market to win. What does the relationship look like with you and Solana? How do they kind of come together? How do you two kind of come together to make this initial campaign happen?
Kathleen, you want to take that?
Yeah. I think that Solana could use like a breakout retail app, especially in the prediction market space. So once we talked with them, like, they know our backing, they know this team. It was very like clear that this was the team that they could get behind. So immediately we were then introduced to like multiple people on the team throughout like the different departments. And if a lot of our approach is collaborative, so we want to allow a space that other massive Solana like giants can figure out a way to either like benefit from Pumpcade, leverage Pumpcade, build tools on top of Pumpcade. And by having that mentality of collaboration, I think that was also important to Solana, of like, we're confident we're going to be a breakout app on Solana and we're going to skyrocket into retail. And we are happy to have relationships with the entire ecosystem as we do it. So they have been unbelievably supportive, made so many different introductions, a lot of different tweets about us, and like we're relationship people. Like we will leverage them as much as they will allow us to, and continue to show them like why they should keep backing us, and hopefully help us break out into retail.
Yeah, Pedro, who's the head of consumer at the Solana Foundation, has been a really big fan of Pumpcade, like pretty much since it started. He actually did like reference like DD interviews with like Foundation Capital for me because they knew that like he was a big fan of it, like when I was fundraising. But the entire Solana Foundation has been like incredible. And I know I said this like, I think maybe on the last podcast, that like I built on ETH for 8 years, and never fucking once did anyone talk to me from the Ethereum Foundation. Meanwhile, we could have back-to-back interviews with Solana. They want to support. Like, the thing that I like most about this chain is like, people want to say, yeah, it's like really PvP, it's not collaborative. But like, if you're a builder, Solana Foundation wants you to win, and other teams in the ecosystem also want you to win.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that shines through, especially with their super team and a lot of initiatives they have there. Really a supportive chain as a whole. I want to talk about expectations. We have this big launch coming up. What are you guys expecting to happen? I'm not sure if you have any of those user metrics from signups. Of course, I think a lot of that's probably going to drive after the markets go live and people start playing and posting and talking about it, sharing their ref link. But kind of put us in your shoes. What are you guys expecting? Do you have expectations? What are you expecting from this launch here?
I have pretty decent expectations for it, because if this goes well, we have a massive opportunity as we go to market in the near future to leverage the numbers that we have and the attention that we spiral from this into money coming into the platform. That'll happen regardless, but like, the better this does, the easier it is for me to then have these conversations with the institutional players, the big whales, and say like, look, people like this platform. There's people are gonna participate on this platform, there are ways for like everybody to make money here, and the general consensus is that like this is fucking cool. So we have a lot of plans as to how we activate those type of users. Sorry, it's clearly different than like the actual platform where you'll be betting real money, but as long as we get that interest, and also the feedback's going to be wildly important. Like this is not mainnet right now. This is with like play money. So the feedback, like we are very open to it. This engineering team is like absolutely elite. Like they come from Limit Break. They ship at like the speed of God. So the feedback that we are going to be able to get is very important because it can help influence like how exactly we position the platform in the real go-to-market, which will be hopefully explosive in terms of how we get it out there.
Yeah, we're talking a bit in hypotheticals here, but I guess walk me through the path that this takes. If this goes incredibly well, $60,000 has been put up on the line for people to come and participate. People sign up, numbers look really good. Do you take these numbers and initial traction from the test net and go and try to get follow-on funding from venture capital, or what's the game plan? Are you using this money, bootstrapping, continuing to grow that number until it gets a little higher? Like again, all hypotheticals. You're not gonna really have an answer, I guess, until you see it happen. But
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand maybe where your head's at.
Yeah. I have plans. I can I can do a lot with a little, and I know this is not going to be a little. So once the world sees this, and that's also why we have some like side quests that we can announce on the show if you want, to really hone in on like why pari mutual is different. You can hit 100x with it. Like it is a different type of predicting, and it is more like dopamine related than I think some of these other platforms are, as well as like the meaningfulness of instant settlement and instant payout, and these like shorter term markets. Like we have a lot centered around really driving that home to people, and I think once people understand that like this is different and this is actually like more fucking fun, then I think we will have a lot to work with.
Yeah, gambling it's an impulsive thing by nature. And so I feel like if you have these shorter duration markets with like really impulsive things, is he going to make this penalty kick? Are they going to score in the last minute? Like whatever the bet might be, I think it really feeds into this like impulsive satiation that a gambler has. And, I think it is setting up to do very, very well. There's a question from Crypto Jones. I think we've had this answer from Pop Punk in the past on kind of your go-to-market and what the money's going to go towards. But Crypto Jones says, big fans of Pumpcade. Congrats on the new edition. Looks like you found a good fit with Kathleen. How do you plan to put Pumpcade in front of the average person? And we've talked about this. We know a lot of the spending of traditional prediction markets is largely in marketing. And we know like there's got to be some big budget for that. When you think about your go-to-market strategy and getting this in front of the right people, what does that look like in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, so this definitely starts with crypto. Like our early go-to-market, obviously, like the Cade Cup is predominantly going to be crypto people. We have a pretty huge marketing campaign starting tomorrow that will also go after like non-crypto users, Web2 people and stuff like that. But I think we get the early volume in with cryptocurrency, and then we can like make conclusions with like who's the average type of user on this platform, like how are they participating, how early in a market are they participating. Like we recently hired a data and analytics and research guy that previously worked at Masari, and we're really setting ourselves up to like get as much information about like how people should and want to use Pumpcade, and then we can like basically, if Kathleen you want to finish this, like how we attack retail.
Yeah, and it also comes down to how these guys are sculpting the platform. Like it will not look like crypto at all. So the plan is to completely take over crypto. We have enough relationships within the space and are putting some dollars towards like activating even more. Like crypto is we all know the power of crypto. I know how powerful this token can be if it rips to 500 million. Like that is incredible marketing in itself. And I also know the power of crypto. So like dominating that space first. And then in our product, like the crypto people aren't going to care if our product doesn't scream crypto. We don't need to be the prediction. Yeah, but we don't need to be the prediction market of Solana. Like you don't even need to say Solana. Like to everyone that knows Solana, that really fucking matters. But I don't need that to matter to my sister. She does not care. Like I want her or someone to look at Pumpkade and be like, I have to watch this baseball game with my husband. I'm so bored. I'm gonna open Pumpkade and start betting on 5-minute markets and like have a fun time and show them that like I'm somehow engaged in this because I have a chance of like potentially winning. I want that. I don't need her being like, I have to do all these different things. Am I gonna get scammed? We have worked in crypto for so long. I've seen everything. I've never seen a real breakout app like enter into the stratosphere and succeed without people saying like this is a scam. Web3 gaming completely died. I was in the trenches of it because gamers hate crypto. Even if you have the best game on the market, they want nothing to do with crypto. And I think we have to take the same approach with the product and make it not look crypto at all. Like it is a fast-paced prediction market more in line with like a TikTok generation, and that's it. So also being like really smart around how I like thinking of like go to market and like the marketing as like a web versus just being like wildly aggressive with like spend. We don't have that. We have a lot of capital, but we don't have $100 million to spend like call share poly market. So in our go to market, we will be spending, but we have to get really creative. Like how can we entice people to make their own content that like really captures the messaging and like the soul of our product and talk about it that way? How are we incentivizing that? How are we tapping into these groups completely outside of crypto and like relating to them? So that we have a lot of that is something we've been very carefully thinking of, as well as looking into the data of like what other markets can we add onto this? What is going to make us explode? Like our user is at this weird intersection, weird as in like very valuable intersection of prediction markets, meme coins, iGaming, and finding out that exact behavior and then creating markets and incentivizing those exact people, finding them where they are and offering them something like really good to eat on our platform. That's something I'm very interested in too, which is why we hired someone to like really dig into data for the Cade Cup to help influence that.
So I want to touch on this, and I do agree with you. I think the crypto audience is clearly the lowest hanging fruit here. You guys have the relationships, and one thing we found, I think, Collector Crypt being a great example of this. They have like a small cohort of users. It's actually only 1,000 people, but they're one of the most well capitalized cohorts of people I've ever seen. Like the average spend on there is just mind blowing. So tapping into that with crypto, like there clearly is a lot of value for you guys to do that. Going back to what you mentioned, Pop Punk, you guys picked up this guy from Masari who's a data analyst. Obviously, we saw Masari and Blockworks had that acquisition, the merger and acquisition. Did you manage to scoop him off of layoffs over from that?
Yeah, so they only brought on like a few like research managers. We scooped him immediately. He came very well referred from AJC, who's literally like one of like the biggest believers of Pumpkade, also our investors and stuff. And it was a no-brainer. And like honestly, like it's a role that like quite honestly, like we weren't specifically hiring for that role, but like the whole thing with like building the right team and building the right company is you have to be open-minded. And when someone comes on the market and they're a good fit, and if you think that they can help your business, you should drop everything to bring them on. And that's how we feel with the new guy that we brought on. That's exactly how I feel with Kathleen. Like we were hiring for a growth lead, and then we announced that we hired a COO. Like that wasn't on the table.
Right.
But like that's really the whole thing about building a company is like you should never not be hiring. Like you should always loosely be ready to hire someone, because it doesn't matter like how good your technology is. You could have the best tech in the world, but if you don't have the right team and the right group of people working on it, like none of that matters.
That's alpha. I mean, you're like almost like a talent scout in a sense. You guys are creating the Avengers here. That's a great pickup. Good for, I guess the unannounced Masari analyst who is now part of a Pumpkade analyst. Not much
Real
churn
quick,
on his job there.
Before we even get to your next question, I wanted to ask, because I saw AJC. He's really interested in Pumpkade. How's the relationship with AJC?
Oh, it's amazing. We've had like meetings and stuff with him. It's so funny. Like Masari, they were really the first people to kind of discover Pumpkade. Like it was like 300K market cap. It was still like a silly game that I was building. And I had Masari people in my DMs and they're like, hey, do you want to sell OTC to us and stuff? And I'm like, what? Like, dude, I didn't even buy tokens really for myself. But yeah, AJC is great. He's helped like shape a lot of our decisions and stuff. We have like, so as Kathleen mentioned, we have like an internal group chat. It's like 60 very like early, like just beast holders. And he's one of those people. And like, we kind of get to like do like dry runs of like things that we release with them. So like they see the product. we spoke to a few of them about Ace. AJC specifically was one of the people like the night before we spoke to about Ace. And yeah, just like invaluable feedback from these types of people. Like there's a reason why like the bull posts about Pumpcade are like huge thought posts, like articles, people making like conclusions and like drawing like similarities and stuff to other projects and stuff. And it's like the average Pumpcade holder, I make jokes about it, but like the average Pumpcade holder is way higher IQ than the average dude that's just like trading flop in the trenches. Like we have people in there that like have worked at like massive like sports betting conglomerates. We have people that are CEOs, like crazy devs and stuff. And it's really just like a testament to what we're building. And like it really doesn't even come down to like the whole prediction market thing, because I didn't move into that until like a couple months in. It was just like a lot of people saw like just me wanting to build something and going all in and quitting my job and wanted to support it. And it kind of like comes down to like how, you know, we raised a pre-seed and then a seed, and like a pre-seed investor, they don't really care as much about the product. It's really you invest in the founder. And we see all of like the token holders that got in early as like the pre-seed like investors and stuff. And there are people that have bought Pumpcade at like 50, 100K market cap, and they've held it the entire time. And it's just like, they back me, they back what I'm building. And it's really, really helpful for us.
I mean, can you talk a little bit about how important it is to leverage your community? We talked, I think Kathleen talked about it a little bit earlier, but if you can just, because I mean, you're saying CEOs, you know, Masari, research analysts, they're all a part of pushing this forward, pushing forward the idea, giving you confidence in your own product. Talk about how important it is to leverage your community.
Yeah, I mean, community is literally everything. Like I've said this for Pumpcade, like since the beginning. I was able to quit my job like right after like my wife and I had a newborn, because I was so confident in the idea. We were starting to see like the product market fit. The token was trading and generating revenue through creator fees. But the community is really what has been like able to help me foster this into like what it is now, like a seed stage back company. But like any intro we need to any company, like Kathleen and I are very well connected, as are, you know, some of our other team members, but like we can get intros anywhere. Like, and then building off of that, it's like the community has been so helpful for me in the early stages of Pumpcade that I sought out Ace. Like I didn't have to do Ace, but like I wanted to give them an opportunity, because I did see them as early backers of the project, to be able to convert tokens for equity and actually sit on the cap table. And it's crazy to think about, because, you know, we have people that got into the token at like 100 or 500K market cap that are sitting on the cap table at like an implied 1.25 mil valuation with some of the best VCs in the world. So like, because the community was so helpful in the beginning and continues to be, like we value it endlessly. And like the perfect example of this is like I raised with a pump fund token. It took months to do so. I could have ditched the token immediately, raised $10 million, and made my life not a living nightmare for fundraising. But the community is so important. That's why I was like, no, the token is literally non-negotiable.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I think that's just a really powerful component to the story of Pumpcade. And maybe Koss, you can talk about this a little bit as well, with your background with Pump Fund and your involvement in the Build in Public hackathon. I mean, what's your message to founders? Someone who's just out there, they have an idea, they don't know whether they should pursue it or not. What's your message to them around launching a token and how powerful that can be for a potentially innovative idea?
Launching a token, especially on Pump, could be the best thing that you do for your company. It could help validate your idea. You know, if people seem interested in it, if you start gaining community, you get early feedback. Especially if you don't have funds, like not only is it amazing for getting those initial funds, but helping sculpt like the vision of your company and getting feedback. So it does seem scary to some people, especially if you're like crypto native and you've seen people launch tokens and die. But if you approach it with like, I'm just getting this out there as like a speculative tool and a marketing tool, and maybe I integrate it into my product one day, that can end up being snowballing into like the most valuable asset you have for your entire company.
Yeah. Great answer. I do want to talk a bit about this rollout here we have going on, the campaign with the World Cup. You mentioned potentially giving us some teasers, Kathleen, excuse me. Maybe you could touch on some of those.
Yeah. Okay. So back to what I was saying is I like simple things, and showing why Pumpcade is set apart, why it is interesting and valuable. It just boils down to two different pieces. One is pari mutual markets and quick markets allow you to have that 100x the way it is structured. So we are introducing the Smasher as a side quest. So the Smasher is the person who hits the most multiples in a single day during the Cade Cup. So if you're to get like a 50x on a prediction, 100x, you will get $400 if you hit the most of that day. And that's really to showcase, again, this is possible. Like it is almost pump funny the way that you can hit multiples on Pumpcade. And it is structured exactly like that. So we have this Smasher as the first one. And then the second piece is there's so many markets, like they're very quick and they're instantly resolved and instantly paid out. So you are able to get your answer and your funds, or in this case, the play money, immediately. That is completely different from Polymarket or Kalshi, whose quickest markets take 5 minutes. 5 minutes is forever. Like you can miss out on a lot if you don't have the right information and like your money in those 5 minutes. So the grinder is to show how the person that hit or did the most predicting throughout the entire day as well. Doesn't matter if you lose, doesn't matter if you win. The amount of markets will be the judge, and you can also win $400 from that. So if you hit the most multiples on one market, you can win the Smasher. If you predict the most, you can hit the grinder prize. And these are every day that there is a World Cup game on.
Love it. Let's go. That's two. So there's a, again, and correct me if I'm wrong here. There's $5,000 up for grabs daily just in the pool. And then there's an additional $1,000, which you kind of just broke down 800 of that in these like side quests.
Yeah.
What will the actual gamified experience kind of feel like in the normal? Am I making markets? Are markets pre-existing? Are you guys on the back end whipping up a bunch of markets to like kind of help guide people to them? Or what is this going to look like?
So for the Cade Cup, all the markets are automatically generated by the Pumpcade system. So markets will spawn like when an upcoming game is about to start. While the game is live, markets are just going to be spawning. There's not going to be a lot because the whole thing is like we don't want to fragment liquidity, even though it's fake money. So you'll have recurring short markets that just go on and off, like basically pop up over and over, like throughout the game and stuff like that. And that'll be pretty much every single game day. There's obviously a couple days during the Cade Cup where there aren't like games, there's no live matches. We have some stuff planned, but that's going to be announced on our Twitter for those days. But all of this really boils down to like we're giving out like almost $70,000 and there's zero risk. Like you're playing with house money, you don't have to do anything, and it's just because like we've built something as a team that we think is really, really cool and we want you to experience it, and we'll pay you to experience it.
I kind of want to touch on this a little bit more because it sounds like you just mentioned some proprietary technology there. Do you have like a predictive model that's watching these games live and then creating markets that are going to coexist or coincide with, I guess, these quick one-off moments in games? Like I'm trying to get a better comprehension of this because it seems like you'll be watching a live game. All of a sudden we're going into penalty kicks and a market needs to come up like that to represent it. Is this going to be some sort of proprietary AI software that does this, or I'm just trying to wrap my head around it?
Oh, okay. So definitely no AI. We do AI driven development, but we don't like AI for like predicting things or like generating markets or resolving markets. But the first couple of days of like the Cade Cup, like you won't see those like event driven markets, but we have been working on, we can do fully event driven markets. So like we're capable of doing things where like if there's a penalty in the box, like and a penalty kick is coming up, we get that event from our provider. We can automatically spin up a market, and it's like, will they make the shot or will they lose like the penalty shot or whatever? So that stuff is possible for us. It's definitely not going to be live immediately in the Cade Cup. And there is no guarantee that like we can get it fully live during the Cade Cup. But when we're in our mainnet launch, especially for sports and stuff like this, like because our system is architected to just work really, really quick, like quick markets, quick tech, quick UX, we can do event-driven stuff like that.
Very cool. I want to go back to these numbers as well. I'm not sure if you guys have a dashboard in front of you, but how are signups going so far to date? Are you guys, I don't know if you had, again, no expectations going into this, but like how are signups and numbers looking so far?
They're looking really good. I don't have the exact number. I do know though that we literally doubled the amount of signups like in the last 18 hours. I think that it's just continuing to ramp up more and more and more as we get closer to it. And I think like, you know, the market is shit right now. The market's down. We're at the mercy of Michael Saylor. Like people have lost money. So people are excited that like we're giving out basically free money and you don't have to risk anything. So signups are going really well. They're continuing to ramp up. They've been really strong the last 18 hours and continuing. And I expect them to honestly keep exploding until July 4th. And it doesn't help that it doesn't hurt that we're offering $10,000 of 3 of the most popular Pump Fund tokens, which is Ansem, Neat, and Troll. All you have to do is sign up for the Cade Cup, pre-register for the Cade Cup, and we'll randomly select and email winners, and $10,000 just to click a button to sign up.
I want to ask about this, Kathleen. It feels like this was maybe your strategy here. It's a great way to activate community. Maybe talk me through some of the thinking.
We like Pump Fun. Pump Fun is so powerful. Like aligning with Pump Fun is the best thing we can do. We have an excellent relationship with them. I know the power in community, and we jammed. And as Ansem was kind of taking off, he's been chilling Pump Fun or Pumpcade a little bit. We were like, why don't we just like give out some of his coin and some other Pump Fun meme coins that we know have strong communities and incentivize people to sign up. So like Pump Fun is an ecosystem. Yes, there's memes on there, but if you are a company building in the Pump Fun ecosystem, those meme coin communities can be so damn powerful too. So that is why we decided to do it, and we will continue like leveraging all of the different aspects the Pump Fun ecosystem has to offer. Same with Solana. Like we're not only just Pump Fun. Like the ecosystem, the way we are going about this, like it's collaborative, and that's the way that we will skyrocket out of it into the normies.
Love it. Thinking on your feet here with, by the way, with the marketing tactic, bringing on the $10,000 with Ansem and some of the leading tokens. Like I really like that move there. Not everybody can say that the leading KOL, it's like single-handedly reviving the Solana trenches, is excited about their product. Are you guys talking with Ansem? Is there a conversation behind the scenes happening? Why does he like Pumpcade so much?
I mean, I've known Ansem for a number of years. Have hung out with him a couple of times, and I think he just like also my chief product officer Steve, close friends with him. We've known him. He knows us. He knows that we build like legit, reputable projects. We're not behind the scenes asking him like buy our token, like stuff like that. But when he like first like dipped his toes into like this like Pump Fun ecosystem stuff like 2 weeks ago or whatever, like I literally saw that he bought a couple tokens. He bought like 3 tokens. He bought the most out of Pumpcade, and he's continued. He's bought a couple times Pumpcade. Every single time that like people are asking like breakout apps, like what do you think, cool projects and stuff, he shills Pumpcade. And no, we're not asking him to do that. It's just like, you know, he follows me, he follows a couple of other team members, he sees the stuff that we're doing, he knows our reputation and stuff. And like, yeah, I mean, we appreciate that he's supporting us.
Yeah, I think part of why we're able to attract people like him is part of the Pump Fun hackathon was build in public. I mean, Harrison was doing that even before we had announced like the build in public hackathon. We pump funded. But once Harrison started really getting into it, like the amount of content that he put out, like it is so substantial to be and meaningful to be able to like look at someone's Twitter, look at a project's Twitter and see everything about the company. And then also have this community that we're constantly talking to that is also shilling it. So the amount of content that's out there on Pumpcade, it can attract someone like Ansem who would come in and be like, I have everything I need to know. I don't even need to hit up the team. Granted, you know, they have talked, but he can make that decision on his own and chill it. And we definitely did not force anything there.
Yeah, this is how, I mean, I raised $6 million in 10 days without a deck.
Without a deck. I was just going to mention that.
VC asked for a deck. I was like, literally just go to my Twitter and scroll. Because from the day I deployed Pumpcade, I pretty much never tweeted about anything else besides Pumpcade. Like the entire process of building the company, I pretty much like live tweeted, which is sick.
I have never heard of somebody raising
without a deck. Either have I. Like I have never. But that also was part of the premise. I remember when I was at Pump, I tweeted like "fuck a pitch deck, build in public," and then it like manifested all the way to like me leaving them and being COO. But being able to raise without a pitch deck, like I was in a lot of those calls, was so cool. Like that's when you know you are entering into something really great, is when you have the top VCs, market makers in the world not even asking for a pitch deck. They are just sold.
Yeah, building in public, this is a trend I think that I'm so glad I've seen emerge, and it should stick forever because it is super powerful. And I think humanizes the team behind these products in a big way as well. And I don't want to derail this conversation, Kathleen, but I do want to talk a bit about the Pump Fun Hackathon. What I've seen is this Pump Fun Build in Public Hackathon has been wildly successful. And of course, this fund along with it, it even feels like it kind of shifted Pump Fun to what people viewed as the place to launch meme coins. So like, wait a minute, there's a serious business here and they're actually doing cool things, and partnered with MetalX to do these ACE rounds. We're funding real projects, real companies. I guess I want to get your perspective on that hackathon and how you view it. It seems wildly successful to me, and based on the guys I've talked to at Pump Fun, they're very happy with the results. Maybe talk me through how you see it.
Yeah, I am very happy with the results, so much that I have ended up at one of the results, but it did what it needed to do, and it attracted real builders, and the Pump Fun team is so capable of helping these builders grow. Like, shout out to Rain's Revenge, Alon and Vasha. Like, they know how to help build companies, what right connections are needed. Like, they're in the trenches, like giving advice to these companies and how to grow. And I really hope to see them continue, like put focus on that ecosystem. It could seem like a lot of the big problem while I was there was some teams were like, well, it's Pump Fun, it's for memes. And what I really wanted to do was show the relationship between memes and legitimate projects. It's not black and white. You are actually able, as a real project, to tap into that whole ethos of community, which is really what Pump Fun is, and help build your project. Like, think about what memes can do. Like, the amount of content that's put out from memes is ridiculous. It can get mainstream attention. Now you have the ability to like tap into that by launching a Pump Fun token, and that's exactly what Pumpcade did. They took advantage of like being one of the first movers and had one of the best projects. But the winners, I think I was very surprised by the quality of founders and projects building and willing to take that initial risk to launch on Pump. So I'm not there anymore, but I helped build it, and I'm from the outside, I'm very satisfied with it.
Yeah, I immediately saw the benefits of like launching a token to bootstrap and like gain PMF and stuff. And I've tweeted this a bunch of times, but it's like I turned a meme coin on Pump Fun into 2 venture rounds and a company that people are literally leaving unicorns to join. So it's like, haha, funny, it's a meme coin until it's not. And it's like,
yeah,
I think that like I immediately saw like what I could do like from the very early stages. And it's like, you launch the token, you're able to generate revenue to sustain yourself to build, you get PMF, you build a community. And like the people in our community have been here since the very beginning. I still see like the same names, like my tweets, I recognize them. And I'm like, oh shit, I remember he like made a Pumpcade meme like back in like November of last year. So it's pretty sick.
Yeah, I'm really hoping to expand that and attract a very healthy like developer ecosystem on top of Pumpcade. I want people building everything on top of Pumpcade. I want you to find your edge, like build the tools, find your edge, figure out exactly like how this works, like especially as a game. This also becomes very interesting, I think, within institutional conversations. It's not like your traditional platform of just like black and white market making. Like, it can attract a very smart type of trader that can be on the platform and find their edge, build tools. So like, we are very open to not only like every conversation with like some of these larger institutional players to understand how they can view the landscape of Pumpcade and build their own tools and use it to trade, but also people that want to build like different platforms to like get certain amounts of like insight and data and like track certain things. Like that type of ecosystem that's built on top of us is very, very important, and we're very willing to support it.
Yeah, like we've already had pretty much every single prediction market aggregator platform, trading terminal under the sun has reached out and they want like exclusive whatever with us. But like, I don't want that. Like, I want it to be fully open. And like, it's like how VCs will tweet like their like investment ideas or big ideas for like 2026 or whatever. Like, I want us to be posting that kind of stuff for Pumpcade, where it's like, here's 5 things that we want to see people build. Like, go build it. We'll support you like any way that we can. And like, even in like the closed or the open beta, which is on testnet, like we have a dude in our community. His name is Oliver. Shout out Oliver. He's been like building like tools to track wallets and like new P&L cards and stuff like that. So like we're already seeing it. So we want to continue to foster it and like have it be totally open. Like we don't want to have like these private backroom deal partnerships. Like if we want a Telegram bot, like I want the community to build that. If we want like an enhanced trading terminal, I want the community to build it and let anyone integrate and stuff like that.
You've opened a new can of worms, guys, and I want to respect your time. So if you have to hop, just feel free to whenever. We're going to wrap this up shortly. But this is a whole nother conversation where it's like, okay, build on top of Pumpcade, maybe use our API. And we've seen, again, I go back and I reference Collector Crypt. I think a large part of this is they kind of have this API and people plug it in and they build their own front end or they build their own little, things to it. It's a great way to scale. How are you guys thinking about this in terms of, I guess acquiring people or finding people that are going to build on top of Pumpcade?
Well, I think like first and foremost, the thing that's the most interesting about Pumpcade is our resolution engine. Like we can resolve something faster and more accurate than anyone else in the world. Like our tech, our bread and butter is built for that. Like I want to see other platforms be like, hey, can we offload some of our markets, resolve them on Pumpcade? Or like just people, we want people to use the project and think like, how can I make this better? Oh, I'm a developer, like, or I know how to vibe code. Like I can build something on top of this. And it really just comes down to like, we want all of our data, our APIs, all of this stuff to be open. So like people might not even have to come to us and ask us, hey, how can I use this? How can I leverage this? Like go do it on your own.
Do you expect this to be a leading revenue stream at some point?
Probably not. I mean, I don't know. Like the goal for like making stuff open is not to generate revenue. It's really just like we built really cool tech. I want other people to build really cool tech and let them make money using our tech. Probably have like builder codes and stuff like that. And we'll always generate money on fees and stuff. But like if we've built like this really cool, like almost like if people want to view it as like base building blocks and stuff like that, then let them.
Got you.
Yeah, it only attracts more users. Like if people are building on top of us, they have their own networks. They're going to be promoting their product. It all funnels back into the platform itself.
Very true. Crypto Jones has a question about going open source. Does this mean you guys are going to be open source, or is just this certain pieces of the puzzle?
I don't think we're going to go open source immediately and stuff like that. Obviously, I come from my background being like a very high level EVM developer where like I open source all my smart contracts, stuff like that. I think all of our APIs and stuff will probably be opened and like just like anyone can obtain an API key and stuff like that. I don't think we'll open source like the protocol, at least like in the beginning, because there is a lot of alpha in it and our web application, mobile app, all of that stuff. But APIs, we want them to be open. Like we want people to be able to trade programmatically. Like we don't want to wall you off and be like, you can only use Pumpcade if you're on Cade.market.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. With that being said, I want to kind of close this off here, guys. What comes next? What should we be most excited for? Again, you dropped us some teasers about what's coming with the side quest. You kind of gave us a feel of what we should expect for the main platform. What have we not covered today that you guys want to touch on?
Did we mention if you pre-register, you will get some things in exchange for pre-registering that could help you in the Cade Cup and help win prizes?
Well, you didn't mention it, but now you got to get into it.
Yeah, it is. We can say it's very, very valuable to pre-register. That'll go up until Saturday, but pre-registering will give you a massive edge, a massive advantage during the Cade Cup.
Yeah. Well, and it's free, so I would definitely suggest doing that.
Well, there's your call to action, guys. You can go and pre-register. I think with that, it's a pretty good way to close us off here. We appreciate you guys coming on. Kathleen, it was a pleasure meeting you. I think like someone said, kick-ass background. You are crushing pop punk. You've done a good job. Guys, I'm really excited for this. Saturday, I am fully ready to start playing. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, awesome. You're a great interviewer. I appreciate that. You.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Sweet. Thanks.
You.
Talk soon.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Sweet. That was a good interview.
Dude, you were cooking on the questions, bro. You were cooking on the questions. Dude, we need to get Crypto Jones out of here. We need to get that guy out of here, bro.
Yeah. Yep.
Anywho, what do we got for the rest of the show?
Let's do takeaways real quick.
Takeaways.
Okay. So a few
First and
things we
foremost.
got. First and foremost, we got the side quest. So again, like I know I'm banging the drums on this. We're not ref guys. We don't always promote, but it's free to play. They got like $60,000 up for grabs. It's like a one of those things. It's just a no brainer. So go and sign up. We have a ref link somewhere. It doesn't even matter if you use a ref link. Just go sign up. With that being said, they tease the Smasher side quest, $400 for whoever is hammering trades that have the biggest upside, hammering predictions that make the biggest upside. So if you go and make 100x, you might win that $400 prize for the day. They have the grinder, name choice, interesting. Grinders, maybe it's my degenerate mind that associates with a different kind of grinder. No, but then grinder is another one where it's obviously like the name. If you grind and you're making the most bets, there's potential for you guys to win a side pot there, $400. They mentioned, hey, if the numbers are really good, we have a lot of plans. What that looks like, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we're going to jump and do follow-on funding, raise at a higher valuation. They mentioned their relationship with Solana, and of course, like how Solana has been so supportive in this journey. They mentioned what we're going to tap into first and foremost, the lowest hanging fruit being the crypto participants. Like obviously we have established such a broad network in crypto. We're going to start with crypto people, and it only makes sense. They mentioned abstracting crypto away. Kathleen said, my sister doesn't care about crypto. The average user is not going to care about crypto. They just want to, have a fun, engaging thing to play. They mentioned, really leaning into, well, I guess I said this, but impulses, right? These fast markets where you need to have money, you have to act fast, you need to be on your toes, and leaning into the impulses. So there's a lot there. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. I think their signups have sounded like they've been pretty good to date so far. So yeah, I think traction is pretty good. But any takeaways from your end? I mean, that was just like a few that I can remember.
Honestly, I'm really impressed by Kathleen's background.
Yep.
I mean, being at Pump Fun, pushing forward that, building public hackathon, just being in the room, making those decisions. We gotta get this guy out of here.
Cards and stacking chips. Me and my homies cashing Pupcake bets. It doesn't even rhyme, dude. Why did I just sing that like it was gonna work? I'm
this guy. No, I think their focus on abstracting crypto away, I think that's going to be really important. I think the timing of the launch is going to be important. I think the incentives that they're giving to kind of give users the incentive to come in and make use of the platform. I think my biggest takeaway though was the builder side, them kind of enabling builders to just come in and find their edge and build stuff on the technology.
Agreed.
Yeah, great interview. I can't do the chat right now. You know what? I'm closing you guys off. I can't. I should
have closed the comments too, guys. You realize our fucking guests can see the chat. Like, we want them to come on here and feel comfortable. And when you have Crypto Jones being a degenerate in the chat, it's hard to do that. Luckily, they took it in stride. So it's not like the chat was bad. It's just you guys are freaks. So,
anywho, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this VVV talk?
No, I mean we covered it. We covered it earlier. What's the developments on that? I got a few things I want to jump into as well.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about token versus equity. Is it bullish? Is it bearish? What do you think?
I only know the context you gave me. I actually didn't even know VVV went and raised at $1 billion until you mentioned it on stream.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I don't know, right? Yeah,
real quick. Let me just give you here's basically the TLDR, because it's now become like this huge conversation ever since we covered it. And when we covered it, it literally just happened. And over the course of the stream, so many people have come out and basically said, yeah, this is bearish. This is bearish as heck. Crypto Jones found, oh God, you guys are insane. Let me see. Boom. All right. So here's the recap. They're selling a bunch of tokens plus 9% equity to VCs to scale. In my opinion, the token portion sale doesn't matter much. We talked about the long vesting schedule. Sounds like a bad options call is what this guy says. The equity portion is the eyebrow raising part. Does Venice plan to go public? And if they go public, what does that mean for token holders? On the negative side, having a separate stock price, separate valuation, separate stockholders creates a juggling act, some confusion, and dilutes token holders is the main timeline FUD about the deal. I lean a bit more positive though. I'd rather hold the diluted token of a massive public company than an undiluted token of a niche business.
It's based.
Okay. All right. The leap of faith is that they'll take care of token holders over time as they scale. I don't based on the track record of crypto, I don't like taking that leap.
Yeah, you never want to leave it in someone's hands, right? I mean, it's a he said, she said world. You know, the handshake doesn't carry the value it used to. It's like if it's not in writing on paper in a contract, or smart contracts are executing programmatic buybacks, whatever it might be, that's a lot of faith they're putting in devs that have notoriously just left you high and dry. Now, Eric Voorhees has a lot to lose if he does that, though. So I guess like it's a difference between 100K, 200K shitcoin where they make all these promises and rug, and the guy that's actually got $1 billion contract, $1 billion valuation, because he does have a lot to lose, and he will get sued most likely if he does something shady, and he'll be chased for fraud or whatever it might be, and he has his life he's got to worry about. You know, of course, like you hate that you even have to say that, but yeah, so he's got like he does have more incentive to make sure the token holders are taken care of. But this guy, by the way, super base take so far.
Yeah. He said, since the team is crypto native with a long history, they could potentially give token holders equity like others have done. The big bet for token holders is less about these details and more whether Venice can become a top AI business over time. If you don't like the product enough to use it yourself, think it'll just stay a niche business in the space, then don't buy the token. If you love the product and think it'll compete with the likes of Perplexity, ChatGPT, etc., then it's a good buy. Yeah, very nice take from this guy. Oh, Ika says Adam is a go. Okay, I'll give him a follow then. I'll give him a follow.
Let's see here. Let's do a quick little feed check. What I always do before I follow someone, this guy gives a base take. Okay, he likes VVV. That's something I like. Let's see. Let's scroll down really quick. What's some other stuff he's talking about? The stuff that I've been seeing, you know, if he's talking about cards, if he's talking about Colette, if he's talking about Pumpcade, if he's talking about, you know, Ansem's hot. That's cool. Let's see. You know, and this is my litmus test. If I go through and I see a bunch of memes, just like forget it.
Yeah.
Does Mark throw write-ups?
Yeah. You know.
Hey, it was a base take.
Yeah, it was a base take. I don't think he's like a trencher trader from what it seems like. But yeah, solid take nonetheless. I'll give him a follow off the take.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's sparking this like huge discussion. I'm actually gonna do a quick a bit of a write up about it because, as you guys know, we've started this stream since April last year, and this is the core question of the stream: what makes tokens valuable? We've been pursuing the answer to this question time and time again, and here we have the problem front and center today on CT. You know, is aligning tokens with equity the best thing someone can do? And obviously it won't make sense for every single project. But at some point you got to ask yourself, what's the value of a token to token holders if there's an equity component that they don't have access to? You know, it creates that creates that separation there, which you know largely is pretty bearish. So wanted to highlight that real quick for you guys.
Yeah, I think my take goes back to what I keep saying. It's not a one-size-fits-all conversation. I don't know if I love this because, you know, what Adam does a good job laying out here is there, you know, you all of a sudden do have fractionalization between the equity and token. Which should I hold? Which one's more valuable? What value should derive to the equity versus derive to the token? You know, one's a liquid tradable asset. And it brings a lot of confusion. And so that's something you typically want to avoid, but I don't know. I'd have to read up on this more to give a clear answer, but I would generally say having the token be like the sole proprietor of all value flow is kind of important, whether that's no equity, whether that's equity and you have a foundation doing programmatic buybacks like we talked about with Repo today, or, you know, whatever. Holy shit, cash tag.
Ika, what's up? Cash tag. Is that a ticker? What are we talking about here? Cash tag.
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
No, it's not a ticker. Hit me in the Discord. Hit me in the Discord, Ika.
Let's talk about something. I got some tweets to pull up here. This is a crazy one, boys. Donald Trump just filed for his, I think it was taxes, if I had to assume, or financial disclosure report. And boy, oh boy, was it something.
Cash Cat. Oh, let's go. Robin Hood, he says. What are we at? What are we at, guys? Cash Cat, what are we at?
Let's talk about the lore. Let's give credit where credit is due here. Chill notoriously went in Discord, made a call out about this Robinhood layer 2. Again, lots of this conversation was coming out about like what's Robinhood doing in crypto? Are they partnering with Lighter? Like there's so much going on there. And Chill notoriously talked about the Robinhood L2 that was very much a rumor at the time, and some of the tokens on there massively repriced. Like we were getting down the risk curve in a big way to buy these tokens, massively repriced. You want to give the thesis there, Chill?
Oh my God, we're at 5 million market cap. What the heck? Sorry, guys. Live reaction to that. Yeah, I was in at 80K on Cash Tag, but I mean Cash Cat. I can't even talk. All right. So let's real quick, let me show you guys the Discord write-up that I did. And if you guys actually join the Discord, you can see this yourself. Let me remove that and let me put this on stage. And maybe I zoom in a little bit here so you guys can actually see what's going on. All right, so I wish I can remove the stuff on the left side, but anywho, here's the kind of thesis behind Robinhood. So 2 weeks ago, my first journal entry in the Discord was this. I basically said there can't be more than 3 million in combined market cap across Robinhood L2 tokens. Meme coins are establishing themselves ahead of a full launch coming soon. Grok X estimates around August, because me and I went back and forth with Grok kind of on timing, on different announcements, and it said roughly August, right? But I basically said this: trenching on L2 as Bitcoin bottoms and the barrier to entry is high can give you an edge. Narrative, volume, timing, we're early. And so we basically went into this whole time frame, this whole thesis. And I even, when I wrote this, I gave you guys, the whole thing, the Noxa platform, the main meme coin, the different charts. Like that's look at this. Look at this, bro.
Too? Chill, not to like break up your clip here, but we always talk about this. It's if there's a little friction to buy a token that's still got value, it's honestly probably a really good bet a lot of the time. Of course, it has to be fundamentally a strong project, but friction is generally a massive barrier for people. And if they have to bridge to a chain or have to use these bridges they've never used and go through these hoops, they just don't do it. And when it does come out and get exposed and have that narrative and story kind of align with it, you have some of the best opportunities doing this. So great on you, Chili, sharing all of that stuff as well.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, look, when you look at this, let me zoom in on this. You see Cash Cat here. This is at 130K market cap. And I basically said, I'm buying 3 things: Marion, stocks, because obviously Robinhood stocks. All right. Cash Cat. And I love Cash Cat because Cash Cat was the original name of the OG Robinhood app. So there's a lot of lore with that. And so when I heard that, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, that's easy. You want to just eye stuff with an easy narrative. And you look now and you see exactly what's going on, and you realize that, hey, this is at 3.6 million now, or rather, is at 4.6 million just a few minutes ago. I think it's at like 3.8, 3.7 now. So
is it? Can you pull that up, or you can't track it even?
I'm trying to actually. What am I doing? They actually Robinhood officially went live. The Robinhood L2 officially went live on Deck Screener. Here's the Deck Screener, right? So as you can see, Cash Cat here is 3.7 mil market cap. Stonks. Oh my God, my bags on Stonks are up like crazy, dude.
Look into these charts, bro.
Oh my God, dude, my bad. Hold on. We gotta. All right, let's go multi charts.
Bro is toying with us, bro. Like I'm just trying to see a damn chart.
Robinhood L2, Robinhood chain. And then let's pop a couple of these charts up for you guys. All right, first we'll start with Cash Cat, because that was the original name. Jesus.
Wow.
Jesus.
Bubba Booey.
Look at that, boy. All right.
Jeez.
Let's look at the 4-day. So I was like,
so what's the lore here? Clearly something has fundamentally changed. Has it been confirmed Robinhood is now doing an L2? Like what's changed at this point? Because before it was very much rumor. Now these things are ripping. So someone's believing something different now. Is there like some
let me show you right now. So just to keep you guys up to date. So basically, this is the Cash Cat
crazy chart,
right?
By the way.
Wow, crazy. All right, let's go back to this, because I basically gave you guys all the links, and I basically said top 3 memes on Coinbase were in the billions, right? And current total base meme coin market cap at the time was about 300 million plus, and at the time it's about 2 million right now, maybe about 5 million or so in total market cap in memes across Robinhood. So obviously the upside is there. Here's where the thesis though was pretty interesting, because I basically told you guys that all right, I can't find it now, but I basically told you guys, oh, here it is right here. It's getting harder and harder to bridge to Robinhood chain. I'm glad I'm here already. Robinhood has their The World is Flat event coming on July 1st. According to the announcement, it said that they'll be unveiling a new era of crypto and a new suite of products focused on borderless global markets, tokenized assets, and on-chain finance. Their CEO and the senior VP of crypto will be there. All eyes on July 1st. Today is July 1st. They actually had this event at 2 p.m. while we're currently on stream. So I have no idea what was said, but I can tell you one thing. According to Watcher Guru, Robinhood launches L2 blockchain, Robinhood Chain. And we even saw it, you see on Dex Screener. Dex Screener also gave support for Robinhood Chain as well. So obviously there's a lot here. There's a lot going on. I have to like go and see if I got to go back and see if like I don't even know what's going on with my bags right now. I'm up here talking to you guys, PFP to PFP right now. So I got to look and see exactly what's going on with Robinhood. Let's see, Robinhood. Let's check. And this was also another part of the thesis. I shared this in a tweet earlier where I basically said, and shout out Killua. If you guys don't know, Phantom Troop is like all over it. Killua was one of the first 100 people to bridge onto Robinhood chain. Crazy. But yeah, insane work by him. But he says there are only around 2K wallets on Robinhood chain right now. They aren't fully live yet, aka hard to bridge. Robinhood has roughly 27 million users. Let's just say 1% of them buy a coin on chain. That's around 270,000 wallets. From today's 2K wallets, that would be over 100x increase. So obviously, again, just highlighting more and more the upside. But then the question still remains, holy crap, this just touched 6 million. I need to TP. Guys, I need to go TP. This just hit 6 mil live on stream. So
what's the volume looking like on this? What's the
so far? I don't know. I have no idea. Let me check.
Dex Screener. Is this Dex Screener?
Yeah, Dex. Let's see.
Yeah, just pop it out.
Let me just go here and check the volume. 855K. That's not even a lot of volume, if I'm being honest. Oh shoot, Stonks hit 1 million. Oh my God, dude, my bags are going crazy right now. I was in Stonks at 100K. Whoa. Is that 120K last night? I'm up 10X on that overnight. Wait. Guys, I need to get out of here. Chat, I need to get out of here. What are we talking about right now, dude?
Let's go.
That's
how it's done.
Insane work. What the freaking heck? Okay. So I also heard that Cash Cat is also making the first DEX on Robinhood. And if you guys were there with Arbitrum, if you were there with any of these chains, you understand that literally the first DEX on a chain typically goes well, right? Like that typically that typically runs. My God, man, dude, I gotta see what the heck is going on with my bags though. This is crazy. And also, if you were in our Discord, you would have seen that 1,000 ETH were at the ready in the queue to bridge over to Robinhood Chain. So that's another piece of the story. So now that it's live, there's going to be an influx of ETH and an influx of liquidity. And now with the announcement officially going live, we now see that liquidity coming in and basically just buying up the top meme coins. That's essentially what you do when you come to a new chain. If you're a degen, if you're a degen, you understand that. Look, when you come onto a fresh chain, you look for the first DEX, you look for the first meme coin. Those are the first two things you look for. Let me go to the website. But yeah, Dom, that's it. Mike, I bridged a while ago. Let me check though to see if the Lady Marian bridge is live. There were a few other bridges. Let's see. Let's switch to ETH. Yeah, I think all the bridges are live now. They weren't live before, I believe, because they're essentially just trying to block. They're trying to block, anyone from coming on chain, on the chain early. But the RPC got leaked, and I believe let me double check. I'll double check Rio5 to see if the yeah, it looks confirming. Yeah, Rio5. It looks like it looks like the bridge there is working. And now I just have to figure out how to swap. The Nox platform is down. That's how I was swapping in this whole time. I don't know if it's like just an influx of activity, but it's probably good that I can't sell anyway. Actually, it just loaded up. Look at that. Look at that. All right. That was it. That's all. That's it for the Robinhood. That's it for the Robinhood segment. Oh yeah, Rio5. So I'll spell it out for you, Mike. Real quick. RHEO Phi. I would go to their Twitter first though. I only click links from Twitter. So let me show you. I'd go to Twitter. I'd type in RHEO Phi. Phi. Godly. I hate. Oh my gosh. I'm so nervous to click this button. All right, yeah, this some crazy yeah, just it's Rio5, or if you want to go to the Lady Marian bridge, or just look up Robinhood bridge on Twitter, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people writing about it. Yeah, so a cross bridge looks like there's a few options there. Ooh, I wonder if they have a legit mainnet. Interesting. Yeah, it looks like robinbridge.xyz. Looks like that one is live. Robinbridge.xyz. All right, Mike. Hopefully you got that. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's the full scoop. It's live and official. Robinhood chain is live. We've been there for about 2 weeks. And yeah, hopefully you guys love the coverage and got a little bit of value from the Discord on that. If you're not in the Discord already, a lot of stuff in there that we discuss. We're all active. We're all on chain. We're all looking for trades, doing research, and it's not just a scan every token type of group. It's definitely something more thoughtful than that. So, I mean, wow, mainnet just announced live today. I'm actually still kind of in shock a little bit here, but there you have it. And Dom, I know you had a few things that you wanted to discuss as well, so I'll let you take it from here.
Sure, all good. I was just taking note of some stuff to get clipped out today. So that was actually kind of gave me some time to do that. Nonetheless, let's do it, man. We gotta talk about this, bro. Donald Trump just had to file his disclosure. His disclosure report, of course, being in the government, you have to do stuff like this. But just look at this stuff. I mean, you sit here, we're at the bottom of bear market, and you see stuff like this, and you're just like, man, this sucks. This is the guy that said you're gonna get tired of winning so much. We're gonna win so much, you're gonna get tired of winning. This guy extracted $1.1 billion from crypto. Majority of Donald Trump's current net worth is made up from crypto. Isn't that wild to think about? He extracted $635.1 million from the Trump meme coin, selling on your heads. You talk about devs selling and you get mad at devs. This guy sold $635 million of his Trump meme coin. Then he went and vamped his own meme coin with Melania, which he sold $6 million of. $6 million of Trump NFT Melania sale. Oh, this is the NFT, not even Melania token. Well, launches Trump token. Farms $635 million bucks, then launches Melania and farms who knows how much money. World Liberty Financial sales, of course. World Liberty Financial is the Trump's company. $236 million, $196 million sales of ownership interest in USD1 stablecoin venture, which sprung from World Liberty Financial. $65.6 million sale of part of Trump's stake in World Liberty Financial. Again, $6 million Melania Trump NFT, $1.82 million Ethereum validator staking rewards. This is cool. Out of the $1.1 billion, the $1.1 billion Donald Trump and family extracted from crypto, it's probably much more. 1.82 of that was legitimate money. Like legitimately, Ethereum validator staking rewards, cool. You made 1.82 million. The rest, completely illegal. I mean, not clearly not illegal, but completely immoral and wrong. So this is just absolutely nuts. Chill. Any thoughts on the Trump extraction we've seen? Just, I guess now it's literally on paper. There's no hiding. He's just straight up telling everyone because he has to. Yeah, I extracted $1 billion.
Well, you look at you look at World Liberty Fi. You look at USD1. You realize that they were I wouldn't say in bed, but they were in partnership with Bonk. So you got to think there's a ton of outside of just extraction on the coins themselves, like Trump, Melania, and the others. But you kind of have to also think. Imagine the amount of crime that was done. That couldn't be tracked on some of these meme coins, because how much times have you seen a meme coin that's done like 4 million in volume, but it's only like 150K market cap, right? Like people are pushing volume through these tokens, and it's crazy that Trump is doing this. And I don't know how much he knew about it or how much he was involved, but crime is legal, as the saying goes. Like that, it's crime. It's been crime season for a long time. In fact, the trenches are so used to crime that they think only crime can make something go up, right? Like that's where we are right now. And so you look at Onchain and you wonder why it feels like this. Now
Well, you know what? I saw this. I just had to touch on it. We knew Donald Trump extracted stupid, disgusting amounts of money from crypto, but now it's in writing. Like he had to disclose this. Extracted $1.1 billion. Jeez. And you guys are struggling. I mean, we get excited when we make 10x. We forget about the days where you could take a couple $1,000 to $1 million in crypto. Kathleen doesn't. Kathleen, remember, she bought her house because of whatever the fuck it was, Axie Infinity or whatever. This is who took it from us right here. Donald Trump took that from us because he extracted a $1.1 billion, launched Trump at the top, crashed Solana, and then we got 10 and all that stuff. So that's what they took from us, the good old days, guys. And we want to start believing again. So maybe Ansem takes us there. But that was rough. I gotta talk about Meteora. Actually, before I even do that, Solana in general. Right now, Solana is of course leading. We talked about this at the start of the stream. Very clearly, Solana is the strongest, major chain right now. With that, when you go and look down the Solana freaking ecosystem, it's insane. And by the way, I banged the drum on every single one of these. If we're talking about hit rate, you guys don't understand. The kids' hit rate is unreal. I've been banging the drums. I mean, again, on my whiteboard, every single revenue product that's got tight price to earnings ratios or grows with volume, I've been banging the drums on and positioning in. Let's just look at some of this. Look at the Solana ecosystem. So Solana ecosystem clearly doing the best. Everything was red today. Everything was red today, except for a couple things. Number one, Solana. Number two, the entire ecosystem. Hype was red. Lighter was red. Grass was up a lot. Now it's up 13%. Backpack up 13%. Jupiter up 10%. JTO up 8%. Everything was red today. Those four, the Solana ecosystem coins, were massively up. It's just insane. And so again, I pivot over. Meteora, what I've talked about so many times, has grown their annualized return from a week ago or 2 weeks ago from, I think it was like $17.8 million what they were making annualized to it's like 26 million today, just off 2 weeks of strong equities volume. And then the last 3 days of strong meme coin volume. Meteor has grown its annualized revenue run rate from 17.8 million to $26 million. You get it? The infrastructure that powers this stuff is going to be the biggest beneficiary of it. So Meteora, of course, being one. Ansem also shilled Meteora today. My Black Bull, thank you.
Shout out the boy. Shout out the Black Bull.
Shout out to Black Bull, man. So Ansem shielded. It's looking really good. Again, don't be Met lined. I've been like banging the drums. Also, I mean, literally called the exact bottom. You know what? I'd like to say the entire Meteor run started with this guy. And I'm happy about it. Okay. I'm really happy about it. So Meteor is on a tear. With that shill of Meteor that Ansem did today, he also shilled another favorite of the show, Backpack. Backpack. What's the Dora the Explorer song? Okay. I don't know what it is, but but nonetheless, we told you guys buying the dips on Backpack. Here, I'll stay on this. Buying the dips on Backpack. We're trading at, $115 million, yet they've done $2 billion in volume for spot equity positions in the last 14 days. They went from doing nothing 6 months ago to doing, it took them 6 months to get their first $2 billion in volume. I'm talking about Sunrise and Backpack. It took Sunrise 6 months to get its first $2 billion in volume. It took 6 weeks to get its next $2 billion of volume. Now they're at $4 billion of volume. It took 2 weeks to go from $4 billion to $6 billion of volume from listing these spot equities. And it's going to continue to grow like that. Now we're seeing average days. An average weekday right now for Sunrise volume is $150 million for these equity positions. Average day. It's insane. We talked about the thesis. We had the narrative. We spotted it before it happened. It's happening. So Backpack, when I look at Backpack and it dips to 115 million, but they have self-reported numbers of doing $100 million in revenue in 2025, 20% of their token, to go to stakers once it IPOs. And now they're doing $150 million of volume today. In a day, they've grown from nothing to over $6 billion of volume. They're doing $2 billion of volume every 2-3 weeks. Backpack becomes pretty obvious. You guys know we've been banging the drums on this. Everyone's jumping on board now, though. Ansem's getting behind it. Your mom is getting behind it. Your grandma's getting behind it. But you know what? We were down here when it was $50-60 million talking about it. So thesis is playing out in full right now. That's really the only two I really want to touch on. But also like JTO, while we're on the topic of it, massively just continue to trade up. Again, doesn't actually justify this price action because they haven't started making any money yet, but just the thought and narrative alone is pushing this thing up. Another one we've talked about a lot on the show. DRV. You guys probably haven't been paying attention to this. It's a sleeper, but DRV was at $80 million 4 days ago. It hit 125 today. Again, remember, they just crossed $30 billion of notional volume for their options platform. The options narrative was kind of picking up. DRV is the leading institutional and leading choice for options platforms. Again, trading at 100 mil, 35% of their revenue goes to buybacks, which I think equates to a couple $100,000 a month, if I'm getting the math right. But one to keep eyes on nonetheless. Let's talk about Backpack a little more because they got something special. Why is it pumping? Because they got the Mika license. We got to talk about this. This is what's important about Backpack. Backpack is now triple licensed in Europe, the full stack. And I don't think this is too long, so I'm going to read through it briefly. So we all get an understanding here. This helps me too. And here, I'll even go with the new layout. Speaking of, how do you guys like the new layouts? I feel like the stream's looking pretty good with some of these new
Dude,
layouts.
I'm not gonna lie. When we were on the Pumpcade interview, and just like it was so seamless, bro. Yo, guys, chat. I gotta give Dom props with this pre-stream today. Like, we were like just tinkering with some stuff, trying to make the stream look good. And he was like, yo, like, what if we just like totally just switch up the layout? And we did, bro. And it's just like look at this, guys. Look at this. I got my own little, my own layout. We got the TBPN style layout. I mean, there'd be somebody in the middle. We got this new layout, for when we're like doing on-chain DD and stuff like that on
You can
X.
actually see it. We don't have to like zoom in with all our force for you to see it. Yeah, dude,
amazing. But good stuff, Dom. Shout out to the boy.
Cinema.
Shout out to the boy.
Hey, we're getting better around here, man. Things, we're scaling up. Things are looking up. Let's talk about the trifecta here. Backpack EU has just released its MiCA license, the final piece of the regulatory stack, combined with our earlier MIFID 2 and payment institution license. Backpack EU is now triple licensed across the 3 pillars every serious European exchange needs, all 3 valid across the 27 EU member states. MiCA is spot crypto trading and custody. MIFID2 is perpetual crypto derivatives and tokenized stocks, real securities, no wrappers. And then payment institutions, SEPA, fiat on/off ramp, direct euro payments. And we know like Backpack is really more than just this equity spot custodian. They are actually, doing all sorts of things, right? So Backpack's kind of turned into this whole neobank. They have perpetuals. They have a card coming out too. People are starting to talk about the Backpack card. They of course have recently their most popular thing, the one-to-one equities, which you can transfer amongst any broker and just have the actual the stock. So very cool things there. Bullish Backpack. Fewer than 5 firms in the industry can say the same. They are one of 5 that's got all 3. Impressive. Why this combination is rare. Most exchanges hold 1 license. Some hold 2. Almost nobody holds all 3. We choose to do the work upfront. Regulation first, then scale, not the other way around. What this unlocks: 1 account, 1 platform, full product suite, neobank, spot crypto under MiCA, perpetuals and derivatives under MIFID 2, tokenized stocks, real US shares under New York NY UCC Article 8, not wrappers, not synthetics, real ownership transferable to Schwab, Fidelity, IBKR via ACATS. SEPA plus fiat rails under the payment institution license across 27 countries, 1 set of rules. What's next? Backpack EU goes live across Europe this summer. Crypto perps plus Onchain. Okay, so Backpack EU rolling out over the summer. Beautiful. Crypto perps plus Onchain's real stock transferable to Grio, IBKR, which is assume Euro brokerages. Meanwhile, means we're not just competing with crypto exchanges, we're competing with traditional brokers too. No other platform has stacked to serve this market legally in one place across all 27 member states. The best platform of them all, Backpack, to build brick by brick. That's huge. That's very validating. On this note, something I want to talk about, and I don't know if I have it saved. I do. Boom. Let's talk about Circle, because we just saw some big stuff happening. Basically, OUSD just came out and they partnered with Coinbase, which is kind of crazy because Circle and Coinbase have been rubbing shoulders for the longest time. I mean, they really one and the same, but their contracts are running out, and Coinbase decided to go and partner with OUSD along with a bunch of other institutions, and this crashed the Circle price. Abe, I know you're a Circle holder, and I'm a big Circle holder and fan as well. I think it is overblown. I think it might take time to bottom out, though. I think we might go a little bit lower. So DCAs are on, but very careful here. What this means: firstly, everyone wants a piece of stablecoins. It's clearly happening. This is going to be one of the most massive onboarding events in all of crypto history. People are using stablecoins. People are using QR to pay. We're seeing neobanks like Revolut pop up everywhere and get massive. Stablecoins are huge. They're here to stay. Everyone wants a piece. That's a TLDR. What happened is they came together. This announcement dropped. Circle nuked, essentially. But what didn't happen is Circle's revenues are still constant. They're going to have to compete to zero on pricing because there are a lot of cool things that OUSD does that I think actually makes crypto and stablecoins better for all of us. Like yields are going to be natively streamed to holders and partners, I believe. which gives us the ability to make money on our stable coins, right? It's I honestly I can't even think of it anymore off the top of my head. But let's read this. Circle is down 15% this morning because a consortium of 140 plus companies, including Stripe, Visa, Shopify, and Coinbase, just launched a USDC competitor called OUSD. The benefits of OUSD versus USD include reserved yield shared by default. Remember, we talked to Solomon Labs guys. This is a big problem with stablecoins. They're not legally allowed to, or at least in the past, legally allowed to, or have not streamed that yield directly to its holders and users. OUSD looks like it's changing that. So reserve yield shared by default. Credibly neutral. They have a bunch of different people in this consortium, 140 plus. No mint or redemption fees. USDC makes a lot of money off minting and redemption fees. For this, you pay $1, you get $1. It's 1-to-1. There's no minting fees. There's no redemption fees. It's just flat, which again, it's a race to zero in terms of fees, which makes it better for us. OUSD is essentially the next generation of Bridges USDB white labeled stablecoin, but now it inherits the distribution of tech companies, payment networks, e-commerce platforms, and banks, which will all likely show preferential treatment to OUSD over USDC since they earn on the reserve yield. Yeah, very, very clearly that's going to happen. So what's going to happen is all these people, 140 massive companies, are going to basically choose OUSD over USDC. One of the reasons being because they get the yield from those T-bills streamed directly to them. This will either force Circle to continue their revenue share agreements, find new distributors for USDC, although nearly everyone interested in stablecoins today is backing OUSD, or focus on more on other less profitable parts of the stablecoin stack like ARC. Whether way you cut it, this seems bearish for Circle. I would agree. It's bearish for Circle. I think the revenues, we have yet to see how the revenues are going to reflect in this. So it might be overblown for the time being. But the case for Circle is strong in terms of they have very, very good revenues. Their price to earnings ratio is very compressed, and it's a massive growth industry here. So I think the fundamentals are still in line with Circle, but this is a big blow. And I would say if you're investing in Circle, watch closely how this affects it when they do have to start reporting earnings. I think quarter over quarter, they're going to have a great quarter too, right? Great quarter too. But I think once this really starts rolling out and these companies start adopting stable coins, it's going to hit USDC. Though I think we're good for the time being. I don't think this is going to impact things like today. I think this is a down the road kind of thing. Like in 6 months, 6 to 12 months, this becomes an issue potentially. On another note, World is live. This whole thing we've seen on Twitter. I don't know, man. I just don't I don't care about this. I don't care about this. We saw the World XYZ thing getting hyped up on Twitter. Everyone was kind of like talking about it. It was this whole thing, really good marketing. It's a fully on-chain prediction market built on Solana. I mean, we just had Pumpkade on today, but like another prediction market. I don't know. I don't get super excited from this, but maybe they can do something differently. We'll see. Trade directly inside Phantom, non-custodial, powered by Chainlink for fast market resolution. Crypto plus 2026 World Cup markets live with more coming. So I don't know. I think that's kind of like, honestly, I think it's just going to be something that operates in the back end. People use it. Probably doesn't like blow up or anything crazy.
Bro, I'm up 3,800% on Cash Cat. What the
Jeez.
It's at 6 million. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Like
that's crazy.
Bunch of stuff going on in the back, and this is probably how the bull run will feel like.
Yeah, we're just gonna be sitting on stream, popping off.
Yeah, stuff is just gonna be popping off like midstream, which is kind of what we want, right?
Yeah. Dude.
So this was what I was telling you about earlier, Dom. Like I saw the connection with World XYZ, and it was at like 2.5 mil, and for whatever reason I didn't buy. I saw the connection. I was like, oh, okay, nice connection. I just didn't buy for whatever reason, and here we are.
Well, yeah, I'm just like pretty generally unexcited about that. Let's talk about some Q2 reporting, guys. We have wrapped up quarter two. There's a lot of numbers coming in. O1 Resolve, if you guys don't know what this is, you need to understand what this is for MetaDAO. If you're doing any of the MetaDAO stuff, O1 Resolve is going to have pretty much all of the relationships, right? They're doing numbers, reporting, accounting, all that stuff's going to be through O1 Resolved, I believe. So they're like investor relations. That's how you should think about them. Before we do that, though, let's kind of run it back to our friends and family at this point. Meteora, shout out Meteora sponsoring the show, of course. They keep this thing going. But they have a Meteora ecosystem recap, which I want to touch on because this kind of ties into my Meteora thesis. So let's talk about that. I'm going to zoom in for you guys. Meteora's, and I haven't read this, Meteora ecosystem recap, July 1st, a mega roundup of what's recently shipped across Meteora, MetLP, Bedrock Foundation, and Meteora Eco. Bedrock launched its inaugural asset, SV151, tokenized shares of sealed Pokemon packs, which I would pay attention to this because there might be arbitrage on this pretty soon. I'm not like super interested in Pokemon or any of that stuff, so it doesn't really toot my horn too much, but I know they do have like $350,000 in the treasury, and this is trading, I think, below that value, so it doesn't equate. Meteora also launched a standalone site for D assets, making it easier to explore each asset NAV, market cap, and key details. So basically, under the Bedrock umbrella, there's going to be all these assets, some equities, some like SV151. You can explore it all through there. This is what I want to talk about. Tokenized stocks, MU and SpaceX from Sunrise launched. Expanding real-world assets on Solana with liquidity supported by Meteora's pools. Meteora shipped pool discovery filters, limit order P&L tracking, and dynamic slippage, making trading and LPing experience cleaner, sharper, and more usable. MetLP Army is running LP Summer School through July. If you guys want to learn how to LP, check that out. Meteora is running their LP Army through Summer School through July. Join free coaching sessions with experienced liquidity providers. Why not? Meteora Ecosystem accelerates. Let's talk about the milestones. Avicii crossed 1 million transactions with its neobank product. Again, we're going to talk about O1 Resolved in a second. This is what you want to look for. You want to look for Avicii finally turning that corner on revenues, going from leaving the treasury for salaries to growing the treasury from profitability. Jatavo processed more than 20 billion GPT 5.5 tokens after launching community-powered decentralized inference. JTVO has been blowing up, by the way, so shout out to the team there. Karma Wallet hit $2 million in trading volume and launched its public real-time KPI dashboard. UseCloud signed a $12 million data deal and secured $3 million investment from the Data Foundation. It is now closed its Series A. Easy A Kickstarter crossed 15 million in volume. Easy A Kickstarter day we had the other day, Easy A Day. And we'll have this branding for the next month. Crossed 15 million in volume and a record 200,000 paid out in creator fees. Congratulations to Solomon Lau on being invited to join Super Team Black. That's a big one. That's awesome. Jurassic Fi, enhanced liquidity on Meteora, Fitted Closet, don't care about them. Umbra, product release, launched Umbra Connect, enabling private transactions on mobile. Archeum released Blackthorn. This is, guys, you need to be paying attention to Archeum. This is really cool. Archeum released Blackthorn, which is doing some pretty big brain stuff in private AI. I would definitely pay attention to it because it could set a new standard. Again, I don't understand it. I don't think there's any proof of it working yet, but something to watch. Bring encrypted AI to prompts, files, secrets, and more. Surfcash launched a crypto native unsecured credit card. Loyal, doing its thing. Fair. Gum.fund. This one looks pretty cool. It's a token that bootstraps like distribution and attention paired with prediction markets. Went live on mainnet with season 2 alongside the World Cup points boost. But yeah, that's the general gist of the Meteora ecosystem update. I've been going on for a minute here, and I got just the O1 Resolve thing to cover because I believe Ave or Crypto Jones or Duster, one of you guys asked for this. We'll go through it. But anything you want to jump in here and break up this rant with?
I can jump in. I can jump in with some stuff that I have, some other some high level stuff that I have saved. Let me pull up my bookmarks here real quick. So we talked about the VVV stuff. One thing I wanted to talk about here was this. Let me see. Let me pull my screen up here. Share screen. All right. And this goes back to our conversation with Pokey RX yesterday. Because essentially I asked them, like, hey, has TCG topped? And it hasn't, is basically what he said. This is kind of the beginning of a much larger shift happening on chain. So this is and AJC, we're actually just talking about him on the on the Pumpcade segment there, and he actually used to follow me. Buddy unfollowed me. Man, dang, I gotta get him to follow me again. Anywho, but he highlights here new all-time high for on-chain gotchas. For the fourth month in a row, gotcha spend hit another all-time high in June at 324 million, 34% month-over-month growth. The top 8 TCG platforms by June spend would be Collector Crypt, of course, Courtyard, Fidgetals, BZ. Oh, shout out BZ. There's a guy, a friend of mine that's involved in their platform heavily. But yeah, so obviously, TCG, I don't think it's going anywhere. And just like Pumpcade is allowing builders to kind of build on top of their platform, we see that happening for Collector Crypt. Essentially, people are building on top of their inventory to make things like games and what have you. So I think, essentially what we have now is a full-on sector in the market that has a lot of upside. I mean, look, this only just started in, call it January this year, maybe. We saw TCG a little bit last year. We saw some earlier this year, but maybe we can even say March. I mean, not a lot has gone. Let's actually look at the chart real quick here. Let me see something here. Let's look at the Collector Crypt, the cards chart, and that will tell us exactly. That'll tell us exactly when this all started. So if we look at the Collector Crypt chart, honestly, yeah, this just started. I would say probably back in April, right? So while the revenues have been going up, they've been ticking up since late last year, ticking up a little bit earlier this year, but really April, as we've seen, is when this all started. So this is like what, just a two months or so in the making. So yeah, there's a lot here that can be said as far as room for growth for gotchas. And one thing I really liked was this guy. He's a great follow, Nerolf. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but he says massive growth for on-chain collectibles as a whole. My prediction, the aha moment comes when they are used for more than speculation. My bet is on gaming. And we've seen this, right? I believe we spoke to another TCG platform. Was that Jim? I believe that was Jim, where you can you can get
Pokemon, redeem them.
Yeah, you can get your Pokemon, redeem them, but then you can also go back out in a game and battle for them and stuff like that. And so, if there's someone that has a legendary Pokemon card, you can go out and battle for that. So it's kind of this what we envision with NFTs, right? A valuable NFT, putting that in the game, and then going in the game, getting the NFT, perhaps reselling it or what have you. You kind of have that same dynamic at play here with TCG. And so just something to share with you guys, put on your radar there. But yeah, there is something else I wanted to talk to you guys about. Easy A, they said hearing things, which if true will be very, very big for the entire Kickstart eco. What does that mean? What do you think? What do you think that means, Dom?
Let's see. Let's see who's in the comments. Did they quote tweet it? Does it come after?
Let me see. It's not a quote tweet. I'm looking, nothing in the comments. Let me see if there's any view post activity. Let me see if there's any of the quote tweets. Nah, nothing being quote tweeted really. A bunch of people obviously reposted it. Let me see if there's Kickstart, if there's anything in the Kickstart.
Very vague here. I don't know.
Yeah. Hosted a pitch day for the top crypto and AI founders in Europe today. Incredible to see so many smart men and women launching their projects with ease.
Their top of funnel's good, man. I'll give them that.
The ability to get this many devs in is absolutely crazy. Okay. Just all right. I mean, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know what they're hinting at here.
Yeah, I mean, CPX was a great conversation we had the other day. It's been absolutely blowing up. Maybe it has something to do with her. I know she's doing a lot for the ecosystem in terms of like partnerships and lots of collaboration going on there. So I don't know, maybe something there. I don't have an answer.
Jesus. Bro, Cash Cat is at 7.4 million. What are we talking about? Chill with the whole Robinhood meta and really on-chain in general heating up. I think we need you to do a quick hour-long stream tomorrow. We could invite Cat back on and keep us up to date with everything. I can't take this man seriously. Gonna wrap in 15. All right, guys. So real quick, let's just summarize today's stream real quick. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. This was the other. Yesterday we were talking about how Ansem's revival of the trenches has like resulted in a lot of great metrics for pump fund graduations, pump fund volumes. We've seen that influx in active wallets the other day. The other one that I wanted to show you guys was daily graduations. This is the kind of key indicator to show us that along with hold times, the amount of tokens graduating is actually going higher. So whatever Ansem is doing, it's obviously kind of reinvigorating the bullish stance of the trenches, and people are coming back, traders are trading, and deployers are launching, and we'll see where this leads. But I wanted to give you guys that update. Outside of that, that's pretty much it. That's all I had for today. I think that's it. I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good too. Let me hop through some bookmarks, but I'm not going to do the whole O1 resolve thing because it's a pretty long like report, and you guys should read that on your own. But I'm definitely not going to. But yeah, great day. Maybe just do some housekeeping. No more streams for the week, and yeah, whatever you got.
All right, guys. So will I do a stream tomorrow? The question is, we will see. In order to find out if I'm doing a stream tomorrow, here's what you're going to have to do. It's almost 1,600 of us in here. You're going to want to go to @MCG Live. We're here Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. You're going to want to make sure you're following the account. Going to scroll down. Thanks for 11.8K followers. And hit like and retweet on the stream. Even throw a comment in there if you want. If I'm not streaming tomorrow, I will be in the Discord. I'll be trading regardless. You know what I mean? So yeah. But yeah, make sure you're keeping up with the content. We'll be pushing out some content here this week. Clips from streams earlier. We'll have clips from the past streams as well. If you want to find out more about the Discord, feel free to go in the link in our bio. Go ahead and see that for all of the relevant MCG links and the link to our Discord. There was, what did you say earlier? I saw Crypto Jones. You said something about me being here at like 3 a.m. I was trading in the Discord at 3 a.m. last night. Yes, I was. I was in the Discord trading last night. Because just sometimes I'm just hunting, bro. I'm just like in the market doing what I do best. You know what I mean? So get in the Discord, guys. Ton of value there. Outside of that, appreciate you guys joining the stream today. No streams for the rest of the week. We will see you guys next week on Monday. Be there, be square. I'll see you on the timeline, and I'll see you in the Discord. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Hopefully we see Dom's traps next week. Deuces.
Real. Yeah, Duster, when we chatted with the EZA Eco, any updates on the token value? Depending on the team. Yeah.
Yeah. They said they're flexible. By the way, they said they're flexible. Basically, each team can choose what they want to do based on what's good for their protocol.
For sure. Ave, MetaDAO review. Not going to do it. It's just really long. But yeah, I would say pay attention to MetaDAO projects. Again, I've told you guys what to look for. Everything's trackable on chain. You see the treasury. We just need them to flip profitable. So from the point that treasury stops going down to starts flattening out to starts going up is when you're going to want to start positioning as close to that net asset value as possible. And yeah, I think Solomon Labs looks pretty good here. Avicii as well is growing.
I'm always hunting Crypto Jones. I'm always hunting, bro. That's why I made the Discord. always there, bro. Always trenching. Or not always, but a lot. All right, guys. GG's. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. We'll see you guys. Bang, bang, bang.